border, Interior CS Kithure Kindiki excluded Kabelbo, Nakwamoru, Lobokat, Lokoron, Tarkwel Escarpment and Ombolion from areas to be evacuated for security operation, and added Ngelecha, Losukoni Caves, Laramoru Gorges and Karao, Nosidan, Escarpment, Urugu's Caves into the list of areas to be evacuated. Kindiki also extended the time to evacuate by a day. He warned that any member of the public found in the areas specified after today, 1930 hours, will be treated as a suspect of armed banditry or as a suspect of aiding and abetting banditry.
Mshosho na bunduki kwa sababu mimi ataama saa hii yote.
So mine is only to urge the government that is doing operation, kindly take that operation seriously. We are fed up with losing lives, innocent lives.
Watu wameenda, wote wameama, na tuko tunataka watu hame, na ikifika mahali kama hapa sasa ni mahali inafikia ni crisis ambaye sijui nini itakuja kusaidia.
And the president of the Law Society of Kenya has slammed the government for issuing a 24-hour ultimatum for families to leave banditry infested areas, saying it violates both the letter and spirit of the constitution. LSK boss Eric Theuri says that Interior CS Kithure Kindiki's directive was illegal and did not come from a law-abiding government. Theuri said the government cannot ask people to leave their homes without providing them with directions. Theuri further says that a 24-hour ultimatum from the government for the families to move seems to be criminalizing innocent people. The Independent Policing Oversight Authority has launched investigations into the shooting of 2 men in Murang'a County. In a statement, IPOA said it had since established that police action resulted in the loss of 2 lives. IPOA also said the authority has dispatched a rapid response team from Nairobi to beef up Nyeri regional investigators during the course.
We are very concerned, and already we have sent our rapid response units, one from our Nyeri branch and another one from Nairobi, to go to the root of those pictures. We want to know whether indeed the police committed those murderous acts.
The Seven Kamsa Central Police Commander Lydia Ligami has, however, thanked the public for cooperating with officers in their arrests, despite public outcry on which suspects were killed if police arrested them.
There was an exchange of fire between the police and them. 2 were fatally injured, 2 managed to escape, but we were lucky to recover the 2 rifles. They've given us all the support, all the information. They even gave themselves the energies to follow us through the forest and gave us leads through the forest, and we managed to arrest these people.
IPOA also wants to ascertain how much money was recovered from the suspects. DCI stated that they'd recovered 1.13 million from the total amount of money robbed from United Sacco Mununga branch.
Out of the alleged 4M that was stolen from the bank, we've recovered 370.
The body of a woman who went missing in September last year in Bukondi, Kolomani, Kakamega County has been found decomposed. The body of Rosa, a mother of 4 children, has been found buried in a compound belonging to a resident of Shibuname. Fabian Muteshi, a resident of Kitengela, says that he found the body in a sack buried in a hole that had been dug.
Uliza nyinyi unasema nini? Mpaka nyinyi mmekuwa wenda simu. Na wakasema dada yako amepotea.
Kwa na yeye, hiyo siku yenye alipotea. Lakini tulimuacha huku. Tulimuacha huku. Mtu mwenye alibaki na yeye huku, watu fulani walikuwa na yeye.
Ilikuwa yani imepatika sura, ni kama ilikuwa inachomwa. Hatu kuelewa juu yani ilikuwa imebadilisha sura, sasa sio sura, yani haileti sura ya mtu kabisa. Huwezi jua ni nani.
And in the international scene, more than 60 bodies have been recovered in Malawi's main commercial hub of Blantyre after tropical storm Freddy hit southern Africa for the second time in a month. Strong winds and rains continue to cause severe destruction. Police spokesman Peter Kalaya says relentless rain and strong winds have hampered overstretched emergency teams in the country's southern and central regions, which are worst affected. Freddy is the strongest tropical cyclone on record and could also be the long-lasting one. That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
This is the modern vibes on Vibes Radio.
102.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
Where you are the MVP. Rise and shine to positive vibes with the MVPs every morning.
And now for our feature presentation.
Have a reggae morning on Vibes Radio.
It's Tuesday and it's looking like it won't be too terrible in terms of traffic, at least not for this morning. The rains are beckoning, heavens might open, we'll just wait and see. On Jogger Road this morning, there's traffic going in towards the city and it's building up as you get towards the train station right at Makadara. It's not looking too bad on Gong Road. You'll be able to get from the beginning of Gong Road, right in Gong Town, all the way out through to the city mortuary roundabout without too much of a hold up. All right, we're seeing something building up on the Thika Superhighway. Kiambu Road is looking pretty good. Now is the time to get off Limuru Road if you're interested in getting onto your destination in good time. All right, so folks are just waking up, stretching. The streets are saying, here we are. Let's see what Tuesday turns out to be. Talk to us through the morning on SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Good morning. How are you? Oh, you're fine.
I'm fine.
Fantastic. It's Tuesday. It's the 14th. Cindy.
It is the 14th.
Today is that day.
It is Tuesday.
For things to either rise, dip, or remain the same. Cast the net of your imagination as wide as you would like.
Petroleum.
Petroleum? Cindy.
And not the jelly version of petroleum.
See ile jelly ile?
No, it's the petroleum for the vroom.
Indeed it is. Ukundani kuna baridi. Cindy.
Baridi maingi sana.
Good morning, CT.
Morning, do.
Kenya's biggest conversation starts now, and there's a gentleman to my left that I must greet. Good morning, Harry.
Good morning.
How are you?
Me, I think I'm fine.
You think?
Yeah.
You think, therefore you are, my friend.
Hey, baridi.
You think, therefore
yeah,
you
are. We didn't sign up for this, manenos.
We didn't?
Yeah, no.
Tumesema nini? Hii mwaka.
Hii mwaka tustuliwi.
Hata na baridi.
Tumekataa
kabisa.
Hatutasimama maovu yakitendeka.
Okay.
Konja.
Iko njaa.
Hata siwezi. Nini? Hohe hahe shagala bagala.
Who was it? It was Nasir in Mombasa over the weekend. Ho ha hey ho ho ha. I don't know what it was that he was talking about during the meeting. The ODM meeting. He said something in Swahili, but he finished with the ho hey ha hey. I was like, wow, okay.
Ho hey ha hey is a word.
What does it mean?
Shagala bagala.
Next one.
Pagla pagla.
Oh hey ha hey means shagala bagala, which in turn means
pagla pagla.
Pagla pagla. Lunga lunga.
Ho hey ha hey.
Oh hey ha hey.
Yeah. Good morning and welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. Happy Tuesday. It's the 14th. Like Ndu said, it's a day for things to rise.
Or drop. Or remain the same.
Okay. I think they'll just remain the same.
You think so?
I think so. Yeah. With that announcement by Churchill yesterday of sijui wataleta mafuta, sijui kutoka wapi, sijui tutapewa na itaandikwa kwa kitabu. Tumefungua deni kwa ile duka ya Saudi Arabia.
Ile kitabu.
Itaandikwa kwa kitabu na nunua mafuta. Enda kwa mama Nania kupatia.
Mwambie nakuja. Kumuona.
Mwambie aweke kwa kitabu.
That's what Kenya has basically done. We've gone to Abu Dhabi, to the Emirates, and to Saudi Arabia. Tumefungua kitabu ya mafuta.
What are we giving them in exchange?
See a promise.
See, we are consuming their mafuta.
It never.
We are using it.
No.
We'll give them money later.
No. Trade.
It's barter.
Yeah, it is. This is even modern day barter. It goes beyond us just taking oil and paying for it later. There's something else we must be giving them. No, there has to be. There's no question about it.
Sometimes soft power is also big enough for some of these countries.
To just know that they have that advantage over
influence.
You. Right. To know that, you're in the begging position is enough.
Just having influence with the region's economic powerhouse.
Tosha.
Hivyo tu. Then pole they start come and saying, hiyo shamba yenu pale Tana River mnatumia?
Nakumbuka vile hiyo petroli ilikuwa imeenda.
Hiyo shamba si mtuachie tu kidogo. Acha tutumie.
Tuone vile tunaweza
After all, mlienda Zambia.
Ndio.
Badala kutumia 40 hapa mkaenda mkatumia 40 Zambia.
Hiyo 40 hapa tupatie
40.
Kocha uone. Mambo itapatrika. Haya, let me tell you what we'll be discussing today. What shall we be discussing today? Do I know? Yes, of course I do. But then, do I remember? Of course I do remember. But then, can I tell you? Yes, I'm going to tell you. 7 a.m. Today is Tuesday the 14th. We will talk about, we've been talking about growing skill through TVET. Saying we don't have a sufficient number of skilled plumbers, electricians, and such other skills. Now, there's an organization called Swiss Contact, and they've been doing a project called Prope IA. Lillian Moindegwa is a country director for Swiss Contact. She'll be here with us at 7 a.m. to talk to us about this thing that they've been doing, developing a pipeline of plumbers and electricians to plug the skills shortage in the country. That is at 7 a.m. At 8 o'clock, ethics of research, community and public engagement. We've been having this conversation with our friends at Kemri Wellcome Trust's research program. And today, Noni Mumba, who is the head of engagement at the research program, joins us to talk about how they bring in the community and work with the community in their research programs. At 9 o'clock, let's talk about this whole conversation about folding the constituent parties of Kenya Kwanza and forming one giant monolith. Didmus Barasa is the MP for Kimilili constituency. He'll be joining us for that conversation at 9 a.m. Is it wise to fold parties in favor of a giant one? And you've seen the biggest reaction is coming from leaders from Western Kenya, even those that are not members of Kenya Kwanza, saying, pana, Muluya lazima kuwe na option.
At least.
Pana. So, Didmus, who is from Western, will come and speak to us. Senior?
Yeah.
Yesterday was the 13th.
It was.
And we forgot.
We did. And here we are a day after. Yesterday was the 13th. It's the third anniversary of the first COVID case found in Kenya. Remember?
The day that
it
Kenya
was a Friday.
changed.
The day that Kenya changed. And then 2 days later on the 15th, schools were closed. Businesses shut down. If you had an event, if you were going to church, whatever it is that you're doing, Uhuru Kenyatta said, it's over.
Stereo.
All children, go home. all businesses shut down. There was one case on Friday. By Monday, there were 5. The country had shut down. And we went into 2 years of COVID measures. We went into 2 years, the world shut down. And we saw things that we had never, ever seen before. Planes were grounded. Exports impounded. Children did not go to school. Until now, we had a new normal. Meetings were held across the world via screen. That's what COVID did to the world. And here we are looking at it 3 years later of the cases that then also brought Kenya to a standstill. Today, what are we looking at? 681,658,125 COVID cases since December 2019, when the first case of COVID was found and found its way to the shores of Italy. 3 years ago today is what Kenya is remembering, and says that what followed was a myriad of reactions from Kenyans, ranging from panic food buying and antiseptic products to haphazard travel up country. We saw things change 3 years down the line, and several lockdowns later, Kenya has recorded 5,680 deaths from the pandemic. It was interesting to see what the last 3 years did here in Kenya and worldwide. Africa did not get hit hard by cases of COVID, whether that was via infection or whether that was via death. Africa, which was touted to be the one that would suffer the most from COVID, actually ended up suffering the least from COVID. But it's given the rise to many things. We're seeing vaccine plants happening around the continent, and this possibility of a future pandemic will then be handled better from a domiciled position. That's the outlook on COVID this morning.
19 minutes after 6. We are live streaming the show online on SpiceFM KE, YouTube and Facebook. Are you online? Let us know where you're tuned in from. After we take a look at the weather forecast, we will acknowledge your presence and do the shout-outs.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
I have a brother. He was a pilot. He was laid off. He came to a policeman. He messed up.
He went from a pilot to a policeman.
Exactly.
He stole a jet.
Yeah.
In fact, you should be lucky he was not court-martialed.
The Spice Drive. Big hair and the biggest hits from the best decade.
Indeed, it's all about hashtag Spice Drive, hashtag Quatch KWACH 3 to 7 in the PM.
17 degrees and partly cloudy in Nairobi this morning, highs of 28 and lows of 15. We'll see lows of 16 in a mostly cloudy Nakuru at 17. It's 16 and cloudy in Nyeri. It'll go to highs of 27 today, and we'll see highs of 24 in Eldoret, where it's cloudy at 13. 25 in cloudy conditions in Mombasa, highs of 32, and we'll see highs of 31 in a cloudy Malindi at 26. Light rain in Kisumu this morning, highs of 27, and we'll see highs of 25 in a cloudy Kakamega. It's raining in Kampala at 19. Highs of 25, and a cloudy morning in Dar es Salaam at 26. We'll see highs of 31 through Tuesday. 12 degrees and partly cloudy in Johannesburg, highs of 26, and we'll see highs of 34 in a clear Lagos at 27. 24 and cloudy in Kinshasa, highs of 32 and lows of 24 today. Looking out into a sunny Beijing Tuesday afternoon, highs of 20 and lows of 1. It's raining in Paris at 10, highs of 11 and lows of 2. And we'll see lows of 1 in a cloudy London at 6. It's 5 degrees in New York Monday night, raining. Central flooding warning coming to highs of 7 and lows of 2.
.21 after 6.
Woo. That's his name. Says he's Kenny. Okay, Awu says he's Kenny. And he's locked in from Kisumu. He says it's chilly in Kisumu. Well, I can understand. There's a bit of a drizzle this morning, so good morning to you. Ivewa Francis tuning from Mombasa and says, great day ahead to you, sir. Kimilili watching live. That's where Amos is. And Bamburi is where Paul Buru is this morning. Jogona, we see you also locked in. Pamoja Tena Sana, Helen, good morning to you. Happy Tuesday of this week indeed. Eldoret is where Collins is. Okiror Ben says good morning. Gashuhi Titus, good morning to you. Robert is also tuned in. Tumefungua kitabu ya mafuta. Yeah. Mulwer Al says good morning. Wangura Washington, looking forward to be critically engaged. Thanks to you all in the Situation Room. Good morning to you, sir. Okech Willington, for the second day running, I said good morning, guys. He's listening from Nakuru.
Good morning.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Josh Rory is tuned in from Misho Moroni in Mombasa and says, have a blessed day. Hello there. Naivasha tuned in is where Samuel Karanja is. Monis Janeth, good morning. Watching from Singapore. Good morning, Sir C.T. Muga.
Good morning.
Voila. Good morning, good citizens of Kenya. I hear our sister's voice. Which sister? Karibu. Laibon said the truth. Who that? Laibon. Who's Laibon? Sawa bas. You people is dope. Come on. All right. Simon Odhiambo says good morning. Happy to hear from you. Trio Magarini is more than an oven. Wow.
Oh yeah, Magarini.
Unaiva?
Ask our brother, has it rained even one drop in Magarini?
Has it rained in Magarini? Simon Odhiambo. He said it's been dry. Yesterday he was really complaining. So I don't think rain has come just yet. Jane Duta, good morning. Ndu, missed you too, sister. Latif and Siti, good to see you. SpiceFM, I'm looking for a rainmaker. This is Eddie Oduor. He's in Koru. He said Koru hasn't rained. Oh wait, Koru hasn't had rain since last year. Sirikali's idea. Nambwa.
Yeah, we are waiting for that rainmaker.
I'm telling you, Peter Wagongo.
Tomorrow is the 15th of March.
Ides.
Yeah, it's mid-March. When they say the rain comes from mid-March, it's from tomorrow.
Tomorrow can do a thing. Innit? All right. Peter Wagongo, welcome back. Thank you very much. Eric CT Mambo Vipi. I'm tuned in mpaka mwisho. City Center ni sawa kabisa. Victor Odhiambo, good morning. Tukondani. Our Taifa Leo headline says that someone had a change of heart. Taifa Leo on the headline says Ruto amesamehe Matiang'i. Sindio?
What was there to forgive?
Mambo yote.
Yote.
Gani?
Mambo yote.
You know yote has to have substance. Gani?
Wanajua.
Ile yote ya kawaida ama ile yote ambayo ni specific?
Mambo yote
ambayo ilikuwa hapa na pale.
Na kila mahali.
Okay.
Hapa pale na kila mahali. Hiyo yote.
Amesamehewa kwa moto mmoja.
One more from Andrew Odote says, good morning from Birmingham, Alabama. Let's keep the fight against corruption going. Sabas. Yoyote. Karibuni nyote.
There was a fight against corruption.
Sinio?
You don't know?
No,
City, where were you?
No, I don't actually.
Okay. We're fighting corruption.
No, I do not.
You and those bandits don't know that there's a fight.
So the bandits are getting on with their lives.
It's just like you. You and the bandits. They don't know they are being fought. Today's proverb. We're still with Chinua Achebe.
We are going to be with Chinua Achebe the whole of this week, my brother. So if you think you're going to get rid of Mzee Chinua, then I would urge you. Yes. Okay. The sun will shine on those who stand before it shines on those who kneel under them.
Under those who stand?
If you're standing and someone kneeling before you, the sun will shine on you first.
Before the kneeling one?
Yes. The likelihood is that your shadow is what will be overcast. Yes, exactly.
Voila.
So it's a good thing to kneel. You'll enjoy the shadow longer.
I wasn't thinking along those lines, but now that you mention it.
You want to enjoy the shadow? Kneel. Bend the knee.
Bend the knee.
Yes. Okay. We shall discuss that in greater detail. Let's look at the headlines.
Eddie, you said you can't hear me. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Move closer to the mic. We can't hear you.
Sheesh. How do you want me to do it? Yeah. Okay. On the front page of the Standard, Matiang'i case, the intrigues. What exactly happened with that? No sooner than, and then Gafla, bin, vu, boom. Case where? Out the window. Interesting. The Pope is now saying priests can get married. This celibacy thing, it seems to be a bit hard. So let's discuss.
It's not hard.
Have you tried it?
No.
What?
It is hard if you practice it.
If you practice celibacy?
And if and it's probably difficult, but you are assuming that it is practiced.
What?
Celibacy by priests.
Yes. Let me repeat it.
I heard what you said.
Thank you.
You're about to open a whole can of worms. Let's hear what the Pope said. We'll talk about that. LSK is saying this thing of telling people to move because of bandits. Be very careful. LSK is jumping on this and saying, please wait a minute. Fertilizer cost is higher than promised. Oh no, really? And then it's talking about the budget and why Article 223 is a hot potato.
Yeah.
I'll tell you about that. The deal that saved Matiang'i is splashed across the front page of The Nation. So clearly that's a thing. The new KPA boss is pledging to put workers first. KPA workers, one would assume. Azimio senators are plotting to paralyze businesses. Why not? And then on the back page of The Nation, Kenya Power conceals breakdown of power bills as prices surge by 10%. Omo, just when you thought things couldn't get any more difficult.
Dear, here we are.
They are there.
Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Let me tell you what's on the front page of the Business Daily. America's rate hike threat pushes NSE to 6-year low. Investor wealth at the Nairobi Securities Exchange yesterday plunged to a 6-year low after signals of a rate hike in the US prompted foreign investors to sell off blue chip stocks of Safaricom, EABL, and banks. Market capitalization dipped to 1.79 trillion, the lowest since March 2017.
What?
The NSE has shed 135 billion shillings since last Wednesday, with Safaricom, EABL, Equity and KCB Group accounting for 98% of the loss, just a day after the US Federal Reserve revealed it could increase the size of its interest rate hikes at its next meeting next week. Kemeuma? Kemeumana. Higher. Checks from rival banks to be cleared in a day. Now, if you are a customer who pays checks from a rival lender into your account, you'll be able to get the money cleared within 1 working day in fresh efforts to boost cash flow in the economy. At the moment, the process can take up to 3 days. I give you a check from my bank. You take it to your bank.
Like today's Tuesday. I won't get that money.
Well, what happened?
I won't get that money till Friday, Coco.
Adik.
But I thought wait.
It used to be 4.
No. It had gone into 2. 1, in fact. You bank it today, just give it a day breathing space. Following day, you've got your money.
So you see it like that. Could be 1 to a dick.
Between 1 and 3.
And the reason is?
Why?
Check clearinghouse. Manenos, inefficiencies at the clearinghouse.
Yeah, but this...
Now banks have come together and they've worked on the clearinghouse.
But we got
so now, you put that thing in. It's
tomorrow
money.
Morning.
Not tomorrow. No, today.
Depending on the time that you put it in, no? Yeah.
The reduced clearance period follows an upgrade of the automated clearinghouse system, the platform used by banks for electronic funds transfers and checks. The funds transfers for EFT will clear within the bank's hours of operations, as opposed to the previous 24 hours, while foreign currency-dominated checks will clear within 2 days from 7 days. 7. Higher, let me tell you what else is happening. The ticker headlines in this Business Daily. Oil market has to pay for fuel imports in Kenya shilling as shortage looms. Local oil companies will pay for oil imported on credit through a government-to-government deal in Kenya shillings. So this thing of them saying, they have to go and look for dollars so they can go to the depot to pay for mafuta, it ends. Mafuta inakuja kwa kitabu, Saudi Arabia, fika hapa, tafuta shilling or bangala pesa. Or whatever, peleka gunia ya makaa, take your mafuta.
Makaa, take it. Maka?
Yeah. Can pay with anything.
Oh, hata kuku.
Hata kuku.
Vile Grace Onyango alikuwa anasema, bring chicken.
Peleka
Do it
kuku.
anyhow for you. Okay,
Yes.
so.
You know, it still happens.
Till now, Sindo?
Yes. There are situations where what the parent has is a chicken. And that's what they take.
Hiya, City. What's on the star?
What's on the star? On the right-hand corner, top right-hand corner, abandoning Raila. CS Owalo woos 28 former Nyanza politicians into Ruto's UDA party. That's the story on page 7. Note, former Nyanza politicians into Ruto's party. Right. Headline. Free man. Goose leaders engage top state officials in back-to-back meetings and lobbying. That is the precursor to the headline. How ex-CS Matiang'i escaped DCI's news. Okay? There was also fear of Kisii region rebelling against President Ruto regime. That story is on page 4 and 5. And all these stories revolve around who? Ex-CS for Interior Matiang'i. All right. Then, controversy over Murang'a bank robbers. Remember the bank robbers I mentioned yesterday? The 1.3 million shillings?
They recovered, blah, blah, blah.
And I even showed you pictures of the 1.3 million shillings?
Yes.
You recall?
Yes.
Right. Controversy over Murang'a bank robbers. Were they executed? Yes.
What?
Hard small.
That was hard small. You'll tell us about it.
I will.
All right. 27 minutes to 7. Let's take this break to take a look at the traffic. We will be looking at the newspaper details shortly.
All right, so what are we looking at when it's still dark out in certain parts of the city? There's traffic that's built up a little bit here and there on the Thika Superhighway. Nothing too crazy at the moment. Jogoo Road started early as it normally does, and there's some traffic as you get out past the train station. But after that, you're good to go into the city. On Waiaki Way, not looking bad either. We're looking at the trickling in of traffic on James Gishuru this morning, and we're likely to see that pick up as it normally does. Coming off the Northern Bypass, not too much, which is usually what feeds onto Kiambu Road and everything else coming in from Kitisuru. It's empty. So guess what? Now's your time to make a bolt for it so that you're not stuck in what is likely to be madness on Kiambu Road in a short while. It's looking pretty good. Coming off Mombasa Road, you're going to get into the city without too much of an issue. The eastern southern bypasses are looking good as well. How about we talk and see what happens around about 7 going into Tuesday? Let's keep things moving. SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
Are you ready? Okay. Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
Okay.
94.
City, you want to start? Tell us about the Murang'a.
Yes. This story gets to be more and more interesting.
Okay.
When you go to the page 3 where the story is now being told in greater detail, the headline is IPOA launches probe after 2 shot dead in Murang'a.
Right.
Now, to understand it, you need to look at the picture. There is a picture of the 2 gentlemen sitting down surrounded by policemen. All right? In their fatigues etc., etc.
Yes.
And then alongside that photograph is another photograph of the dead bodies of the two individuals. Okay, one moment they're sitting, the next moment they are lying dead. The Independent Policing Oversight Authority has launched investigation into the shooting of two men in Murang'a County. Did you say two men? Okay. A statement by IPOA said it has since established that police action resulted in the loss of the two lives. I like the way they put this. Police action resulted in the loss. Yes. The Murang'a County Commander Ali Nuo has since notified the authority regional office in Nyeri of the incidents. This is in line with the provision of the NPS Act. IPOA also said that the authorities had dispatched a rapid response team from Nairobi to beef up Nyeri regional investigations during the recourse. Essentially, what is being alleged that these guys were assassinated?
Yes.
In short.
Yes.
Raises the question, why would they be assassinated?
It was quite funny because initially the DCI Twitter handle had actually posted the first photo of the gentleman that had been arrested. And the story was, police in Murang'a have apprehended suspects, blah, 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 recovered money, this and the other. Then, Gafla bin Vu, that tweet has been deleted. Another tweet is up. Police in Murang'a have after a shootout with hardcore criminals, killed them. And put now the photo of the dead bodies. So you're like, people are, wait a minute.
What just happened?
These people had been arrested.
Now they're dead.
And now they shot out at the police, blah, blah, blah.
And you reported them as having been arrested.
And they have been cuffed. Yeah, you can see their hands.
And surrounded by police.
So next, they are shooting at the police.
How?
That is what the question is. You see, questions arise.
Good grief.
So is this stories of, the story is being chained and it's not very, very well choreographed.
They didn't give it a good think before they spoke again, did they?
No, they thought after the talking. Now, in such a mix-up, you see, one then has to ask the questions, okay? They are now dead. Or the picture where they are dead is what was first. They were dead and then... And then they resurrected and the pictures were taken. But the report is that they are dead. So that story can't work. They are dead. Unfortunately, it feeds into very many other stories where it has been alleged that the members of the police service were involved in the same activity, which is now being mentioned here.
And which then has the intonations of being extrajudicial already.
Yes, it does. And also there is the little matter of the money involved. So then one is forced to ask the question, when it was reported that they found 1.3 million, is that the money that had been stolen?
You remember yesterday when CT said a number of times, the money that was found was 1.3 million. How much? The money that was found was 1.3 million. How Eric said the money. So actually, stop the press. Where's the money?
How much had been stolen?
That story.
How much did they actually recover from these people?
I think we'll deal with that story another day. But today, it is still 1.3.
It's still 1.3?
Yes.
Let's see. IPOA, they have sent a rapid response, blah, 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 and all those things.
Yes, they have.
Okay.
Yes, they have.
Okay.
Okay. I know everybody wants to know whether the intrigues about Matiang'i, whatever, but let me tell you something that is a little bit more important. The LSK, the Law Society, has been really busy in the last few months. Everything that comes up, the LSK has been vibrant in its, hold on a minute, stop here. You can't raise these taxes. You can't have this person. You can't do this. Now, they've
questioning everything.
Every move. They've weighed in on this whole vacate your homes directive from the CS Kindiki. And they've said you can't force locals to vacate their homes. You cannot do that according to the law. The president of the Law Society of Kenya has slammed the government for issuing a 24-hour ultimatum for families to leave banditry infested areas, saying it violates both the letter and the spirit of the Constitution. Eric Theuri said that Interior CS Kithure Kindiki, his directive was illegal and did not come from a law-abiding government. He said a government cannot ask people to leave their homes without providing them with directions. So it's two things here. You've said leave your home where you know everything to be. You've not said this is where you will then go. And you've not said we have provided alternative for you. So according to the Constitution, you cannot do that. The 24-hour ultimatum from the government for families to move seems to be criminalizing innocent people. He went on to say, as LSK, we are opposed to the manner in which the government is launching the operation. We knew it would end up like this.
Yeah.
The Turkana Council of Elders, meanwhile, has criticized the government's decision to give residents 24 hours to leave areas designated as bandit hideouts in the region. Abraham Lukawam, chairman of the Lordwa Municipal Council, said the decision to evict residents was hasty and ill-informed. He said the region was experiencing drought and that forcing people to leave their homes was not a good idea. So, look, it's not necessary. So what I gather Eric to have said here was, look, they're not taking issue with you telling people to move because there's clear and present danger. What they're taking issue with is three things: the timing, number two, the option, the lack of option, and number three, the lack of direction. According to the Constitution, it is illegal. So you need to clean up that little faux pas.
And then the way they're doing it. So on Sunday, Kindiki had declared these certain areas as the bandit zones. Get out of here. Yesterday, in the evening, he changes that. Remember, by yesterday evening, the first 24-hour deadline had already lapsed.
Yes, it had.
So there are people who had moved out of some areas that now they have been told, okay, now you can go back. It's okay.
Nonsense.
It's clear lack of coordination. And then what does that do? How does this affect people? I mean, it's as if the government officers are coming from Nairobi to go and deal with this.
And doesn't it just
it's like there are no government officers on the ground. We have a regional commander, we've got a county commander, we've got a deputy county commissioner, we've got a chief, we've got Kindiki has officers all the way to the village level.
Doesn't it just then topple whatever confidence you have then in terms of, is this thing actually going? If for anybody who had any confidence and then sees this is how this is the manner in which things are being played out, you just feel like, oh, for crying out loud, it's not going to happen. It won't. You won't. You ask people to leave. They pack up their life. They go. And you come in the evening. You come and say, actually, not you. I mean,
it's those ones that leave you with questions, and you ask yourself, so man, are you aware? Are you really aware of what's happening? And if you're aware, are you aware that you're not aware? Okay, so there was some story coming out of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission the other day. Well, apart from the appointment of a new chairperson, former Bishop Oginde.
Recall the details. To be appointed, you need to have
applied and then have gone for interviews.
Yes.
And then all those things.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, apart from that one, there was also the story of the EACC investigating a scandal involving issuance of transcripts to people who are going to work in the Middle East. Remember?
Yes.
And the people who are arrested from the national, it's called NITA, the National Industrial Training Authority. Now, NITA has actually released a press statement where they're saying that they are appraised of the ongoing investigations by the EACC. The authority fully supports these investigations in which some staff are alleged to be involved in processing fake transcripts to home care candidates. The Oversight NITA board and management are committed to ensuring that quality assurance for this sector is properly enhanced. The authority will therefore not tolerate any form of corruption or fraud that infringes on the training, assessment, and certification of program beneficiaries. The authority recognizes the sensitivity and gravity of these allegations and takes this early opportunity to reassure all its internal and external stakeholders that it is seized of this matter. And we guarantee to collaborate with all government agencies involved in examining these claims to confirm their reality and processing in a fair and just manner.
Okay.
Remember, I read at the top right-hand corner in Till.
Yes.
Yes, for Till Green.
Till Green.
Till Green. Till.
Yes, that the Cabinet Secretary for Information is taking
is
wooing people to Ruto side.
Yes.
And they're abandoning Raila.
28. Well, many of them abandoning, I wouldn't know. You see, this story of abandoning, especially when the subject is on the politics of the country, it's it's if you were to use the word opaque, it's in this arena that I would use it. But one is never really sure. Because you are allowed to flip-flop as often as you like.
Yes.
You can join and join another one and join. It's back and forth. But the list comprises of people who either stood for an election for some post or the other. First of all, went on the nomination as an ODM candidate, didn't do very well. Went as an independent or joined some other party, didn't do very well. Some were in positions of authority, which they no longer are in. You see, the competition for political superiority has very little to do with ganging up. It has to do with whether you can garner grassroots support.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Instead of 28, there could be 56. There can even be 300. It is okay. But do you have grassroots support? Because in the absence of grassroots support, that gathering is a gathering of perhaps like-minded people. That's the politest way you can put it. And discussing like-minded issues. And beyond that, because political power is actually in the hands of the people. It sounds a little bland. It sounds even blasé, but it's the truth. The people of political power have the support of a large swath of people, many, many people. And the people are willing to follow him. So, if this group can, with the time, garner that sort of support, individually or collectively, then one could argue that, yes, indeed, they are beginning to form a formidable opposition towards or against Raila Odinga.
Yeah.
Until such time, they're just meeting to discuss their own issues. Yes.
But also they have their supporters. It's not like they have zero supporters.
It is not so
even
much
when they
a question of
participated
zero
in an election,
or none.
They got X number of voters. Did those?
It's inconsequential.
What, the number of voters they got?
It's inconsequential.
Are you telling me the people who win in elections in Nyanza win with 98%?
No, they may not even win with 60%. But the point is that the power is when you win with a margin that gives you the position you want. That is when you have the power.
The majority.
Yes,
Okay.
Even if it's just one. But in the absence of that, when I say it's inconsequential, it's someone else in the seat and you're not in the seat. And that seat is now what gives you the power. And the power is through the vote. That's really my argument.
Okay.
Yes.
If we were to extrapolate that argument and take it to its logical conclusion, would we say that Raila's support is inconsequential in the country? Because he has not garnered enough.
Yes, at some level.
To win.
Yes, at some level, is inconsequential. If we are looking at what it is that gives you the seat of the presidency and you didn't have it, then it is inconsequential as far as the seat is concerned. But in terms of the numbers,
in terms of political influence,
it's massive.
Okay,
it's massive. You see, the political post we're talking about that would be largest would be the one of a governor. Okay, that's as big as you can get at a local level. Now, beyond that, you will find that there'll be 3 or 4 people who are running for that seat. So they don't have this 50+1. Then there's just a simple majority and you win. So even if you get 30% of the votes and the other 6 is divided by the other candidates, you are the winner. Same with an MP's position.
Yeah.
All you need is a majority. You simply have to have the majority of all the people who actually stood for that job. If you had a 50+1, the discussion would actually change slightly, but it isn't. So I am saying 2 arguments here. You need to have a political position. To have it, you need the votes. Those votes determine the relevance, because when you're in that job, it's relevant, yes. If you didn't get it, then you got the votes, yes, but yes.
It doesn't count for anything.
No, not really. You're on the outside.
Right.
Yes.
Speaking about things that remain opaque, Kenya Power conceals breakdown in power bills as prices surge by 10%. So you thought that you would look at your bill and you'd be able to tell exactly where the money that you're spending on your bill is going. Well, not so much. Kenyans now will no longer be given a detailed breakdown of their power bills after Kenya Power stopped giving customers details of individual pass-through costs. Kenya Power has been issuing a detailed breakdown of pass-through costs when one purchases power through its prepaid system via text message. So if I were to do that now and bought 50 shillings, I would be interested to see what the message would look like. The SMS would show the amount of money spent by a customer, the units received, how much of the money would go towards actual energy bought, and other costs including VAT, fuel cost charge, and forex change. Other costs that were included in the breakdown included the Rural Electrification Program charge, Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority charge, the Water Resource Management Authority charge, and inflation adjustment charge. You could see all those things on the breakdown. Kenya Power House has, however, stopped sending this detailed breakdown to customers. Instead, the utility now shows customers only the amount spent, the units received, the token amount, and the lump sum of all the pass-through costs.
So it's no longer giving us the breakdown. You see, that's who was that who was arguing?
Blah, 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 etc. Right?
Is it City who was saying you don't want...
You don't want all those small things. Just give me lumps. Tell me what.
Okay. When did I say this?
A couple of months ago.
You do know that I'm actually going to claim amnesia on this one.
Of course you are. But so now your wish has come true. You know how they say, be careful what you wish
I really have no idea what you're talking about.
So now what they've said is if you spend 500 shillings on your power bill, they will tell you that 228 shillings is the energy that you have bought.
Oh, okay? That's what they're saying.
Right.
Okay.
So the remaining 222 shillings, what they will tell you is that it goes to other charges.
Yes.
You understand? So they tell you bought for 500, 228 goes to power, and then other 228 now is what? Other charges. And that's about the size of it. They're not going to tell you all these other things anymore. It comes at a time when they've been... A lot of anger has been directed at the utility over high electricity prices, especially over the huge pass-through costs. So they're not going to be having that conversation anymore for you to start poking at them to say, how dare you?
Does it
charge
cost them more to give us the details?
I don't know. I guess not. They have it there anyway. But the thing is that they've been taking a lot of hits from folks because now you're going to spend 3,000 shillings on power and you're going to get power worth 1,000 shillings. And then you see, how is it possible that IPRA charge costs 470? How is it possible that fuel management costs da-da-da-da-da? See? So now they said, you know what? We're just going to combine all this, everything, and just tell you everything
It's too
else.
much to calculate on a daily basis. You see, Forex keeps changing. Right now, Forex is fluctuating on a daily basis. So you bought power in the morning, Forex was this much. You bought power in the afternoon, it's this much. Now so they have to keep adding.
No, but you know,
it's too much work.
Eric, it isn't as though there's a queue, there's a room full of individuals being told, you add 3 plus 3.
Forget about that it's computerized automatically.
Man, I think it's fed into a system and the system cranks it out.
Every guy city is buying power, able calculate quickly.
You that corner over there, you calculate. No, it's nothing of that sort.
Forget about the fact that it's automatically computerized.
Hata computer uchoka bwana.
It's too much. It's not labor intensive.
Computer imechoka. That's the point. Hey, but we'll hear why they have to do it that way. So let me tell you.
Just
today,
finally, the question is, do you want expensive power all the time, or do you want cheap power coming with load shedding? Ask yourself the question.
No,
please.
No,
that is nonsense. No, even if it came with load shedding, it wouldn't be cheaper.
No.
Load shedding is not equals to cheaper.
No. How on earth are they framing that question?
You ni marongo.
That one.
So anyway,
tomorrow IPP guys will be here. Okay, the independent power producers, the ones that we have hung at the stakes like that, and then just said you are the reason the power is high. Yeah, they'll be here. They'll tell us why their power is high, why they, and then hopefully they can come with a contract or two.
Where?
Those contracts that are so
opaque.
Opaque. Higher, let me tell you. Today is Tuesday. Financial Standard. More customers unhappy with their banks, according to a survey. It's on page 6 of the Financial Standard CT. The number of customers who would vouch for their banks to other individuals is dropping, according to data from Kenya Bankers Association. This puts more pressure on financial institutions to relook at how they deal with their clients. According to the industry's lobby's data, there has also been a marked drop over years in the percentage of customers who had their issues settled within 2 days of raising them, which explains why fewer customers would recommend their banks to their potential customers. The 2023 KBA survey on customer satisfaction released last month shows 68.9% of customers polled said they got a response to their complaints within 2 days of raising them. As in, almost 70% of complaints are resolved in 2 days. This was a drop from 74% in 2021 and 77% a year earlier. showing that fewer and fewer customers are having their issues settled in a timely manner, hence the growing dissatisfaction with the lenders. In this latest survey, KIBA notes that the need for service-level agreements to help in addressing complaints within the shortest time possible is important. Customers, the possibility of customers recommending their banks to others.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Are they going to do anything about that?
The net promoter score has basically just been dropping. As in, people are just unhappy. You are just unhappy with your bank. City, which bank do you bank? Can you? Yeah, what do?
You know, banks are just banks, for heaven's sake. It isn't as though they suddenly become ogres and they're eating little children.
They've been like this all this time.
No,
Sorry.
well, yes. I mean, it's the thing about banking is you have to understand how banks function. We are at loggerheads with banks because we bring our own thinking and our desires into the banking sector.
They need to actually.
Because me, when I come to you and I'm telling you I need $1 million shillings, you should avail it immediately. Say I bank with you.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. Okay? There's COVID. Yes, we know there's COVID. We are working on a policy to ensure we do. There are systems. My problem with banks is never.
This is where Aaron Cheruiyot makes sense. This cartel of Kenya banks, they're thinking like that.
Where I have a problem with banks, is the lazy approach they have to making profits. Their business is buying and selling money, but they prefer to sell the money to the government. Yes. And once you do that, you can talk around it, do what they say, yeah, but you know, there's always money to lend people. It's not true. You can't lend the bulk of your money to the government. And you know, the government doesn't take 100 shillings.
No.
They take tens of billions, etc., etc. And then you're telling us that there's enough money to lend out to people who might want it. It's not true. It cannot be true because the pot that the banks have is limited. It's not a limitless amount of money which, as you remove it, it replenishes. It doesn't.
No.
You have to wait until that other money comes back before it can be lent out again. So all I'm saying is, my beef is when they declare these billions and billions of shillings in profit and people are languishing in poverty, that's where I have a problem.
But you see, that also now translates into all these other things. All right, where they will not listen to customers and customers' changing needs. The customer profile of the 1980s and the customer profile of the 2023 is different.
True.
The needs are different.
True.
When this customer walks into the bank and says, this is a kind of service I'd like, right? The bank can't just say, unajua tufanyanga hivyo.
But that's what they do.
Yeah, unajua tufanyanga hivyo.
My bank, however, doesn't do that. Yes.
You see, you are a customer of 1958.
Yeah, that's true. No, it's true. It's true. If you're probably as old as the bank, then you know they'll treat you differently.
After all, we came together.
Hey. All right, keep it here for more conversations coming up in the next hour. We will be telling you about flying better. Remember, if you're thinking of flying, fly better. Fly Emirates, business or first class, 7 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is the Newswire. I'm Leah Obaga. Parents of Joyport Primary School in Kiambu County are seeking justice after their children were severely caned by teachers. The private school has two campuses in Kamondo Village, Githunguri Sub-County and Kawaida Sianda Village in Kiamba Sub-County. One of the boys was severely caned, injuring his backside, while the second one had his testicles squeezed, leaving him with injuries and is currently receiving treatment. The incidents happened in the two institutions separately. One teacher has been arrested while a manhunt for the second one continues. Italian President Sergio Mattarella is in the country for a 4-day official visit. Mattarella is expected to hold bilateral talks with President Ruto. Several MOUs, Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Alfred Mutua said, will also be signed. In a post, Mutua added the visit will help promote the development of key sectors such as water, agriculture and tourism in the country. Mattarella is also set to hold a public lecture on climate change at the University of Nairobi. 51 fishermen arrested by the Ugandan government have been released. The fishermen were arrested last Saturday and detained in the country. Homa Bay County Commissioner Moses Lelan says the fishermen have been released following talks between the Kenyan and Ugandan government officials.
This is to confirm that on Saturday we received reports that a total of 51 fishermen from Remba Island had been arrested by Ugandan authorities, and also 17 boats had been impounded in the region of Lolwe and Kabale areas of Uganda concerning licensing of fishing vessels that are normally given to the fishermen. I want also to confirm that upon our coordination and also communication with our colleagues from Uganda, we've been able to secure the release of the 51 fishermen. 7 boats have also been released.
Leland says lack of licenses led to the arrest of the fishermen.
10 are still detained. That is as by information we got last evening. We are still in pursuit of, an amicable settlement. That is what we are saying, just to foster the relationship among us, the citizens that are sharing the Lake Victoria territory. It is our feeling that we don't want acrimony. So what we are asking our colleagues from Uganda is that we want to do more sensitization of our fishermen, just to ensure all the users are knowledgeable about what governs the activities around this place.
3 suspects arrested trying to fix a football Kenya Federation Premier League match were arraigned to answer to charges of conspiracy to cause a felony. Russian Ahiad Kubaev, Ugandan Bernard Navendi and Kenyan Martin Mutua appeared before the Makadara Law Courts accused of conspiring to commit a felony, namely cheating, an act which is considered a match fixing in a football game in any part of the world. The prosecution stated that on 10th March at Roysambu area within Kasarani sub-county in Nairobi, by fraudulent trick, the accused jointly with others not before the court conspired to induce Samson Otieno, the team manager of City Stars, with 1.9 million shillings to fix a football match pitting City Stars FC versus Sofapaka FC at the Ruaraka Stadium. The accused denied the charges.
I've noted the first and second accused are not Kenyans, though nothing has been produced to show that they have flight risk. I find that a bond of 300,000, one surety, two surety, similar amount.
That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
And there it is, closer to 7 o'clock. We're looking at traffic that has built up on Jogger Road this morning, coming into the city, also from Gong Road. Very, very busy. Naivasha Road is giving this morning, and it's heavy then coming in at the mall, just at the Junction Mall. It's going to touch on Gitanga Road a little bit as you're getting through towards Lavington. James Gishero, busy as you're getting towards Wayaki Way. And it'll be heavy as you now try to cross over the Red Hill Link Road through then, and you're coming out at Limuru Road, which is also building up as well. All right, Kiambu Road also coming in from the Northern Bypass. Heavy traffic coming in from Ridgeways. And the Thika Superhighway is heavy all the way beyond Safari Park Hotel this morning. Think about the service lanes. They will treat you well and you'll get where you're going in no time, one would hope. On the Southern Bypass as well, it's free into the city. Enjoy the ride as you pass the National Park. Apart from that, there's not much traffic. SpiceFM KE on Twitter talked to us this morning as you keep things moving.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Good morning. How are you doing? If you're just joining us, welcome to Tuesday. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. It's the 14th day of March 2023. This is the day, like Ndu was telling us earlier, this is the day that what happens?
Either things will go high, go low, or remain the same. Take your pick.
Okay. Okay. And we're waiting for this information to come from IPRA. The Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority.
Yes.
All right. But going by what the CS, Davis Churchill, was saying yesterday,
things will remain the same.
Things are likely to remain the same. And then they'll start coming down over time. Hopefully.
No. Okay.
Yes? Touch whatever thing that looks like wood. Yeah. Davis Churchill announced yesterday that they have struck a deal with Saudi Arabia, Saudi Aramco. They've struck a deal with an Abu Dhabi company and a Dubai-based company for Kenya to be getting some mafuta on credit, which we'll pay now after 6 months like this. So tumeandika kitabu na duka huko Saudi Arabia.
We have a tab.
You have a tab.
Okay. And this is a good thing, is it?
Well,
that's what they say. Right. So this whole demand for $3 billion every month to purchase mafuta, it reduces, it eases the pressure on...
It reduces, it delays.
On Forex. It reduces.
It delays.
So you just have now to... The importer will spend some time as they're looking for the dollar, not on a 30-day cycle.
Eric.
But on a 6-month cycle.
If you look at the trajectory of what you're saying, we owe money. There's been a hiatus when we didn't need to pay. And in that period of time, the burden wasn't there. But like now, some of those bills have come due and we're going to have to pay. So
it allows you time to
We are
breathe.
not going to be asked to pay in Uganda shillings. We are going to be asked to pay in dollars. Yes. So if we don't have dollars now, where's the guarantee that in 6 months' time we're going to have dollars?
We'll accumulate slowly by slowly.
You need to accumulate something. It has to be there.
It's there. It's not that it's not there, CT.
Oh, it's not there. It's there.
Not there. It's there. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's like when you open that kitabu with Mama Muhammad in Saudi Arabia. Enda kwa Mama Muhammad akupatia mafuta
that was from Mafuta. It's something easier to manage.
So it's the same. You'll end up paying, but at least now you accumulate your pesa pole pole. Okay. Let's talk about building skills, especially for plumbers and electricians in the country. We've been talking about this for a while. We talk about the lack of actual skilled and certified labor in the country. Now, there's some people who've done something about this. They are called Propeller. And the project lead at Propeller is Lillian Moindego, who's also the country director at Swiss Contact. She joins us now in the studio. Good morning, Lillian.
Good morning, Eric. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Great to be here.
Enjoy the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Yes, I was checking whether the seat is red, but it's black just like yours.
Yes, it's black, it's just hot. Okay? Have fun. Now, have you read Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe?
I'm trying to remember from my high school days. I think I did read it, but it was not examinable. I read it for pleasure.
It was for pleasure? Yeah. Okay. So you know Okonkwo.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, there's also a musician in Kenya that calls himself Okonkwo. You know him?
Sorry?
Major.
Oh,
yeah. So Siti was
inspired.
Born 3 months before this book was published.
True.
Nice.
And because he's celebrating his birthday this year,
okay,
he has decided that this week we are going to be looking at that book, and he's picking out snippets from the book.
That last bit about celebrating my birthday, Eric has extrapolated.
And taken it to its logical conclusion.
Yes, that book is full of proverbs, and they are literary enthusiasts and people who enjoy the processes of literature have analyzed some of those proverbs over a period of time. And what I'm looking at is the outcome of some of those analyses and what it is and the relevance of those proverbs. That book has close, I think, 9 different proverbs, but I've only picked on 5. Okay. Today's proverb: the sun will shine on those who stand before it shines on those who kneel under them.
Wow. Okay.
The sun will shine on those who stand
before it shines
on those who kneel under them.
Yes. Now, you thought you had escaped because it was not examinable.
That's what I'm wondering. What's happening?
It's now examinable.
Exam time.
What do you think this proverb means?
How many marks?
For simply agreeing to answer the question, 3 marks.
So, well, let me just say, that sounds like a very African way of making things very deep. If that was his intention, it sounds very deep.
It worked.
It worked. So, okay. Could you go again? The second...
most definitely.
Yes.
The sun will shine on those who stand before it shines on those who kneel under them.
Okay. This is a trial.
Okay.
And should not be used to determine my levels of intelligence or lack thereof.
It will not.
Or your future.
Or my future.
Yes.
I would say that I think this meant to say, from my perspective, in 2023, not when it was written.
1958.
Exactly. I would think it means that the sun shines to those who maybe rose earlier before the sun stood. Yeah.
4 more marks. 4 more marks have been added.
Goodness.
You only have 3 to go before you get 10.
I think the ones who come to stand later may be too late because it's too hot, like they're not acclimatized. So they're likely to kneel. Was it to kneel or to bow? Something.
Kneel.
To kneel. But I could be wrong.
This particular proverb and the examination thereof was out of 10. You've gotten 12 because you have brought a distinct interpretation about the rising of the sun and the apex moment when the sun is really at its very hottest. Yes. So, well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's deep.
That's deep.
We try.
Lillian, well done. Well done. Tell us about Swiss Contact.
Great. So Swiss Contact is a Swiss not-for-profit organization that was formed in Switzerland over 60 years ago by CEOs who were previously CEOs. They'd retired, so they were CEOs in the private sector in Switzerland. And they thought to themselves, now we have all this time. What can we do to be able to better the world? And so they said, there's a lot of development issues in the emerging and developing countries. Why don't we use our expertise to help provide solutions for these issues? And so they came together and they started meeting and they started unpacking the issues and organizing themselves. And so it continued, and we are here 60 years later. And so how we work is basically we look at the issues that are facing the private sector and look at them as a partner, and then try to bridge a gap between them and government and the community. And so we're able to provide a solution that is full circle as opposed to only focusing on one component.
So what do you do? Okay, so you have the money, you have the issues.
Yes.
You have the community.
Yes.
All right. Give us an example.
So let me give you an example. So what we do is probably we come to a country like Kenya and then we want to run a project. And so before we design any project, we want to understand what is the situation of Kenya. What are the needs in this country? Just to mention, the private sector in any developing country provides about 90% of jobs, 80 to 90% of jobs.
Yeah.
So it means that they're the most economic driving force in the situation. And so we come and find out what challenges are this economic driving group facing, and it's in which sector. So for example, here in Kenya, in 2020, we did that feasibility study. And then when we analyzed, we realized that the construction sector was one that was earmarked for growth. And when we dug a bit further, we asked the private sector companies that are in the construction sector, which are your pain points? And they said, we're experiencing a huge skills mismatch between what we're getting from the vocational education sector and what we are expecting as the market. And so what does that mean for us? When we are constructing, we're actually facing challenges in electrical and plumbing trades. We are not able to find skilled plumbers and skilled electricians. And so we asked the question, so what does that lead to? What do you experience because of this skills gap? So they have to retrain these people who have actually been certified and have gotten some vocational education. So they retrain them. And in the process, as they're retraining them, as the work is going on, so there's a lot of wastage of material, definitely. There's a lot of delays because even the ones who are unskilled, they're also few. So they have a shortage and they're also not skilled. So they have delays in delivery. There's, of course, what I've mentioned, the wastage of materials. And also sometimes they turn down jobs because they do not have the manpower. Sure. So they're also losing out in terms of revenue, in terms of income. And so we sought to see how to resolve that situation based on our experience and based on the Swissness of the organization.
So in order to solve something, obviously then you have to look at the cause of it. So very basically, why is there this gap amongst this set of skills? Why is there that gap?
So what happens is, unfortunately, when we're developing solutions, and that's what normally happens, we sometimes tend to leave some people out of the room. So maybe the person who will design the curriculum, probably for electrical and plumbing in the vocational education space, will do it from their expertise and their experience. But sometimes there's a big gap. And that's what they said. Government is not coming, or the curriculum developers are not coming to ask us, the private sector, what our needs are. So there's a gap there. So the person who is receiving the end product and the person who's creating the solution are not seated in a room or a situation room like this one to kind of analyze what topics are needed, what topics are not needed, what do we require, what is missing, and then now design a solution that is meant to address the challenge that the person who's going to get these workers to work with.
For example, let's talk about plumbing. What is it that the industry needed from a plumber that the vocational training institutes were not equipping their students with?
I would say also the practical element of it, because it's very theoretically based. So I have an understanding of different components, but when you ask me to cut the pipes, to join them, when you talk about probably some of these pipes, HDPE pipes, that are supposed to be conjoined, and when you ask someone to actually do that joining of those tubes, they're not able to do it. They've never done it. And then another challenge is whatever equipment and tools they're using to train with at the schools is totally different from what they're receiving in the market.
So they're still doing the steel pipes.
Yes.
And the industry has moved now to the
HDPE pipes.
Those ones.
Which are made of plastic. So there's a big mismatch over there. So means that I'll have to, once you've come and joined, it's like I'm starting to train you from scratch. Whereas you actually did spend money and time to get trained.
So even before we go towards, strategies for sorting this issue out, then it's a bit worrying then, because look at the rate at which, buildings are going up around. Let's look at Kenya.
Yes.
The rate at which buildings are going up around the country, quite a number of them are residential, which of course then begs the need for plumbing and proper masonry work.
Yes.
So are we saying that the majority of the folks who are working on these projects then are not skilled to the levels that they ought to be? Are we looking at a problem?
No. I wouldn't want to
be alarmist. Okay.
Yes. What I would say is that they're just a very few number compared to what the market needs. And those people who are there have had to go through a lot of retraining and upskilling while on the job.
Right.
And we can shorten that cycle.
Okay.
And be able to create an individual who just comes in and plug and play. They know what they're supposed to be doing, and so then the buildings are moving faster, and they're able to add value, and then we're able to see some lack of delays, quote unquote, because I'm sure you've also, in addition maybe to the ones that are falling, which I don't think the result is because of plumbing. I think that could be especially something different. But I would say what I have experienced and what I've seen is that you see a project starting and it stalls for such a long time. And sometimes it's possible that the issue is on plumbing and electrical works. It's possible because there is a shortage of that supply of good ones. So maybe this construction is up and ready, and now they are waiting for these other very few skilled people to be available
to
so
move
that
from
they
the other
can,
project to come.
Yeah.
When you did your deep dive into determining the needs, the demand versus the supply, did you come up with something that approximately can be looked at to determine in terms of figures what the real gap is?
Yes. I would say, yes, thank you for that question. I would say what the feasibility study showed was that for every 20 plumbers or electricians that are required, there only exist 4 who are skilled enough to be able to do the job. So if you need 20 of them, if you need 20...
So it's 25%.
Yeah.
4 to 5, so...
20%.
Yes.
Who can do the job?
20.
Yes.
Okay.
So you have a need. You're looking for 20 people. You're only able to find 4 people who are skilled to the level that you're looking for.
That's alarmist.
It's a big gap.
It's a big gap, for sure.
But then there are very many people who are out there and they have trained, because we have vocational training institutes in the country, across the country, that are still churning out people who are training in plumbing and electrical. So the thing is, it's a mismatch in the level of skill.
It's the level of skill, not the number of people that are required. You need someone who's skilled. You need 20 skilled people. You're only able to find 4 who are skilled to the level that you require.
Okay. But that skilling is determined by the market.
Yes.
Because all these others, they've been certified.
Yes.
These people have come out, they have sat an exam, they've actually passed an exam, they have come out with a certificate. And as far as they're concerned, as far as the government is concerned, they're skilled.
Yes.
But the market is saying that they're not.
Yes.
That only a fifth of the people walking around with these certificates are actually skilled.
Yes.
Now, if this same deep dive that you undertook, what did it tell you about the training institutions from whence these plumbers and electricians and masons came from, and what it is that you found as a gap in their curriculum or even in their ability, if the curriculum exists, to ensure that that is actually taught to meet the market demands?
I would say what we found is that the lack of the practicality. So it's very theoretically based. So I would say, for example, if you're doing a grade test 1 for plumbing or electrical, you do 3 months of a theoretical classroom training, and then you receive 3 months of an attachment. And that's when you say, okay, you're certified to this first level, and maybe there are 3 certifications, so you do that until the very end. The other thing is that, so it's very theoretically based, so you have very little opportunity to actually practice what you learned. And in that time when you're going to the attachment, remember, you learned using steel, maybe pipes, and then here you're coming to be introduced to something totally different. Maybe you were trained using pliers to cut the pipe, and now there's a machine that's what's being used in the company. So before it's time for you to really inculcate yourself into it. Now you already finished your 3 months, then you go
back to
and
school.
As you know, attachees don't do the very difficult work. They do the simple.
But then that's the gap.
Yeah.
Therein lies the gap.
Yes.
If this sort of training, at the heart of it, there's a practicum, which is what we're referring to as an attachment. How many such attachments do we have that are also relevant to the market? Because you may attach someone and you're going to come across steel pipes where you're attached. And then you come to the market, because it's not as though steel pipes aren't being used.
Yes,
there are people who use steel pipes. So do we have enough places where someone can be attached so that they're actually very current with the changing modes that are relevant to their specific discipline?
I think they exist. I think the challenge is the disconnect. So if I could be coming to you for an attachment, right? I come with this logbook where it's supposed to do certain things and what the curriculum is expecting me to do. And maybe I'll just be keen to give you what the curriculum, which again does not talk so much about this modern technology, is expecting me to do. So I would say, let me speak to the solution that we provided. For example, with our solution, with this solution that it's a flagship project, by the way. So this flagship project, we borrowed heavily from Switzerland, who have run what we call the dual approach to learning or vocational education for the last 100 years. And what happens in theirs is that it's very skills oriented. So in a week, you go 1 day to the school, the TVET center, and 4 days you go to a company where you're based, where you do your on-the-job training.
Good.
So there's more emphasis on the on-the-job training.
Do we have that here?
In this program, yes, we do. So,
do we have those companies in the country? Do we have enough areas where this practicum can actually be realized?
So I would say for this particular project, we had set a target for this flagship, the first cohort. We were targeting 20 companies that would be willing to partner with us to try this approach. And we found 20 companies that took on about 85 apprentices. And so these apprentices, we did not copy-paste the Swiss model. We took it, we listened to the private sector players here in Kenya, we looked at the Swiss curriculum, we looked at the Kenya curriculum, we listened to them in terms of what is missing, what do we need to add, a lot of practicality, just a few things here and there to make it more practical as opposed to theoretical. Then we sat also with the National Industrial Training Authority, NITA, who are actually in charge of apprenticeship here in Kenya. They were involved in the process as well. So we got all the important stakeholders to sit down, to look at it, and then for us to create an updated version of the curriculum that then would be applied under this propeller program to be able to test this method, particularly for the Kenyan market.
So who lends the ideas of expertise to the program? Because one of the things that you said in the beginning is that there's a disconnect between the career practitioners and those who hold the skill, or in this case, lack of it. So now with this flagship project, obviously it's to fill a gap, it's to right a wrong. So then who gives fuel to the program, to the learning that is happening while they're in the courses?
So that's a good question. So Swiss Contact is usually basically we take a facilitator role. So we facilitate all this conversation. So we got the Swiss expert who has been involved in the dual approach to learning, working with the local Kenyan plumbers and electrical experts as well as when we are reviewing it. They're able to lend that knowledge, they're able to guide because they have done it before and they're coming from a system where that works for them, and they guide them to how do you make it work for them. So we bring all these people together, then facilitate that conversation. So we have the Swiss experts being part of it and the local experts. So there's that transfer of knowledge. So then we test it out. If we find there's a challenge, I'd say the project is pretty agile. We try and resolve as we go. So we're not like waiting for the full cycle. Then we say, these are our learnings. And so we sat back and we watched things as they went wrong. But we are very agile in identifying the challenges as we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Break time.
Break time, huh? Okay. I'll hold that thought.
Hold it, please. It's 7:30. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. Lilian Mwaindegwa is the country director at Swiss Contact and project lead at Propeller. She's telling us about Propeller and all the project that they're doing, which is creating this pipeline of plumbers
Voila.
and electricians to plug the skills shortage in the market. What are they doing and what are the needs being addressed? Lillian, you've heard of Emirates, right? Fly Emirates if you want to fly better. In fact, if you want to fly even much better, fly first class. Okay, that's best. If you want to fly better, go business.
Okay.
Because on business, what do? Lie flat.
Well rested before you get to your next destination.
Completely rested. They give you covers. They give you gourmet meals, lunch, dinner. They give you nice drinks, freshly squeezed juice.
With proper crockery.
Proper crockery. Made of steel.
crockery.
Stainless steel.
Yes, those ones.
Yes.
Not a thing that then you crumble, and they come with a jewel, the paper bag at you. Trash. Trash. No. No, they'll come and collect the crockery. Fly better with Emirates. Time for our break. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Well, this thing says it's partly sunny in Nairobi, but it's not. Cloudy conditions at 16 in Nairobi, highs of 28 today and lows of 15. It's sunny at 17 in Nakuru, highs of 28. And we'll see highs of 27 in a cloudy Nyeri at 16, 13 and cloudy in Eldoret, highs of 24. Looking into a sunny Mombasa at 25, highs of 32. And we'll see highs of 31 in a cloudy Malindi. It's 20 and cloudy in Kisumu, highs of 27. And it'll go to highs of 25 in Kakamega. Cloudy at 19 in Kampala, highs of 25 and highs of 32, and a mostly sunny Dar es Salaam at 26. It's 13 and cloudy in Johannesburg with highs of 26. We'll see highs of 34 in a clear Lagos at 27. It's 24 and cloudy in Kinshasa, highs of 31 and lows of 24.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. On Right 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, let's look at Ngong Road side of things where there's heavy traffic coming in through Junction. And let's look beyond that as well. All the way from far off on Ngong Road, traffic is building up slowly passing Karen and then out towards the City Mortuary roundabouts. It's heavy coming off of Thika Superhighway. I don't even know how many lanes there are now on Kiambu Road, but we'll take it on stride. Coming in from Limuru Road, which connects from what's happening along the Red Hill Link Road, that's heavy as well. Mombasa Road doesn't look too bad. The heavens might open today, just watch and see. There's heavy traffic then going towards North Airport Road and then connecting with what's happening on the Eastern Bypass. So let's keep an eye out for that. Apart from it, let's know what's going on where you are on Spice FM, KE on Twitter.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Swiss contract and project lead at Propeller. It was a 2-minute break, and City, you've held that long now.
I have. I have. You mentioned a figure, 85, as the number of individuals who went through this apprenticeship process. Okay? On a yearly basis, did the deep dive, I'm back to the deep dive, determine just how many such trained artisans we would actually need in order to meet the market demands?
That's a good question. Just to clarify, we kicked off the project in November last year, so the 85 are ongoing. They're receiving training now, and they're part of the first cohort. In terms of what we're the number that we're trying to build the gap for, we did not set out with a particular number to say, okay, we need 10,000, and so we're going to work with 10,000. What we sought to do in this first phase is just be able to have a test basis to say there's actually an opportunity for this to be the problem solver. And so because we are a small organization in the grand scheme of things in terms of Kenya and only working with 2 privately owned TVET centers in Kenya, there's only so much you're able to do. But we're able to use the results that we find from this first phase, which is a 3-year phase, to be able to advise the government in terms of policy and how they can be able to roll it out in terms of the cost model. Like this particular first phase is for us to be able to get the financial model correct, to get the actual components of the curriculum correct, to get the right mix for the company and the school, to get feedback from...
So it's a pilot.
It's a pilot. So basically in this pilot, we are targeting to train 1,000 plumbers and electricians by the end of the 3-year phase. So we'll actually have more data to share. But then from that point, then we can be able to learn and gather and be able to advise the next phase. But I don't think change happens in a very short time, because as I mentioned, in Switzerland, the reason why it has worked really well is they've done it for 100 years. They have done their mistakes. They have learned and relearned. But the most important thing is that their private sector in Switzerland have been the ones who have driven this dual apprenticeship agenda forward. So they're the ones who have come together, have been able to inform the curriculum revisions, determine whether they are right or wrong. They're the ones who work with government together to be able to facilitate that discussion. And I would say because of that, their unemployment rates are at 1.8%. And I would say that there's something, it's not only about how many plumbers we get out there, but in terms of the whole process as well. So we might get really focused on the numbers, but forget there's a process. There's a shift in mindset and everything.
Actually, what you're doing is correct. It actually can't get better. But let me explain to you where I'm coming from.
Okay.
You kick off this process, you have a goal in mind. In terms of numbers, 1,000. In terms of expertise, there's a curriculum, and you're trying to determine how it works, because as they are taught, they also go into these practicums, so you see. Now, the data that comes out, are you waiting for 3 years to lapse before you can use the data? You see where I'm going? Okay, so please continue.
Yes, so I had mentioned previously that we are very agile. So once we start seeing, let me give an example so that I just don't say figurative things, and yet it's ongoing, so I could actually speak to some of the learnings. So, for example, when we developed the curriculum, there was more focus on the curriculum and on the trainer, them being able to be well equipped to move forward. There was some focus on the mentors. Mentors are the supervisors on the job, in the job companies. There was some focus, but it wasn't that huge. So when we kicked off is when at that point we were like, hang on, the mentor is a very key component in this program. The apprentice is based there 75% of his time. The mentor has not been trained on the dual approach to learning. See, in Switzerland, it's much easier because everybody, the full cycle, the mentor who's mentoring the apprentice has gone through the dual approach of learning. So he knows what his role is because he understands. He has gone through it himself. But remember, this supervisor, yes, he is a technical expert, but he has not had to kind of be someone who's following some form of a curriculum or be able to support learning. And so there, immediately we said, we might have missed out this component. So now we are working together with our experts to be able to deliver something that will equip them to also upskill as mentors, not as technicians per se, but as mentors.
Do you have
and
a curriculum
trainers.
for the mentors?
That's what we're developing as well. So it's the same curriculum, but it was just not very focused on training them. But now we have to do a more of a training of mentors.
Right.
Yeah.
Now the Swiss have had this for 100 years. Which means even as they train the mentors, there will be a model for supervising the mentors and ensuring that they have a curriculum that guarantees that they are always working towards meeting the ever-changing demands of the industry.
Yes.
Is this part of what you're working to build?
Yes. So I would say this, maybe let me just clarify the point. It's not that the curriculum is totally different for the mentor. No. It's the same. So even in Switzerland, it might sound or it might appear that they should be going through a specific training. But remember, he was an apprentice. Now he's higher. He understands this component. So there's not much, maybe there's just very low touch.
Actually, there is. Being a student and being a teacher are two
totally
very different things. You may both know the subject matter,
yes,
but there are skills that you must ensure that this mentor has in order to superintend whatever it is the apprentice is doing, and to be able to ensure that whatever is being learned is actually entrenched.
True.
Yes.
But I would say the difference is the difference between maybe a trainer or the teacher in class and the mentor in class and the mentor in the company are slightly different, because the trainer is more focused on the theoretical components. The apprentice to understand the theory. Why are we wiring like this? Why does it have to follow this line as opposed to the other line? But the mentor already has this technical expertise. So it's the delivery. It's more around the softer skills of delivering this learning to this person. And then when you combine what this mentor is teaching in the company and what the trainer is teaching in the school, they complement each other pretty well. So for that's what I have heard and learned from those experts in Switzerland. It's that it's the same thing, but it's just how you approach it. It's a bit different.
So who's this mentor? And I ask that because I remember about 2 years ago in this room we read a story about the engineering, do I want to call them association?
Board,
thank you. And they were concerned because there was a specific skill certification that was missing from a lot of the graduates that came into the career world. And they said, hold on a minute, we can't really have them practicing as engineers if they don't have this certification. Now, many would have wished that previously there was some kind of symbiotic relation between those who are on the board, because these are practicing engineers, and the education system to guarantee that this lot of people that you're putting into the working world have everything they need to practice on the ground. So that's why I ask, who's this mentor? The mentor essentially is passing on knowledge to these folks who are being trained in this cohort. I would assume, and maybe wrongly, that a mentor is somebody who is practicing in the field and has an understanding of what needs to happen practically on the ground. And then for me, that would show that that relationship that we're looking for is actually being practiced before they graduate.
Yes. So the mentor, yes, you're right. It's the supervisor, it's your mechanical engineer graduate, or a certified plumber, electrician who has worked for long. So either he has gained it through maybe some form of apprenticeship, or he has gained it because he had a Bachelor of Science in electrical engineering and has worked there as well. So yes, it's whatever you're actually describing is it. He is a professional.
That's the experienced person in the company. Who this intern reports to.
Yes.
Okay, and they deal with the intern on a daily basis.
They deal with the intern.
But Han is saying that there is no shortage of skilled electricians and plumbers in the construction sector, and he's saying, I'm speaking from the ground. What we have is people coming out of the vocational training institutes, skilled, but they lack the experience.
Could you repeat that again? Maybe I've missed. What's the question?
I'm going to read it verbatim. There is a difference between being skilled and being experienced.
Yes.
Plumbers and electricians coming from our TVET institutions are skilled, but may lack the experience to take on big projects.
Yes.
So they come into the field and they are mentored by the experienced ones.
Yes.
There is no acute shortage of skilled electricians and plumbers in our construction field. Do you agree?
That's a good... I think it depends on the position. I mean, it's how you look at it. I would say this. You could graduate, and even anybody could graduate, myself as well. I graduated, and I thought I had a very good degree, and so when you give me any work, I should be able to do it. Because then that means I am properly skilled. I am a graduate with a certificate. It might not be in plumbing or electrical works, but I'm a graduate with a certificate. But when I come, what was I doing? So, for example, for me, there was no attachment that was required. So when I got out of university and I had done actuarial science, you would expect that if you start giving me these complex actuarial computations, that I should be able to give you an advice that would be able to move us forward. But I wasn't in that capacity. And I underwent some 2 or 3 years before I got to the level where I am confident to being able to give an advice. It's the similar thing. We are certified, but we are not skilled because there's those practical components that are missing. I would also want to say the dual approach to learning is not only focused on hands-on skills like plumbing and electrician work. In Switzerland, even people who go into banking do the dual approach to learning. Even people who different unexpected trades. We decided to focus on this too as a test basis. I would also want to say that there's an interlinkage which we hope to achieve as we continue, where someone who comes out with this certification in the dual apprenticeship can then decide to continue with a diploma and get to that degree. But then he will be more efficient compared to another student who just went straight and did a Bachelor of Science degree in electrical engineering. But this one who did 2 years of a dual apprenticeship has those great skills. After 2 years joins, continues to do a diploma and degree, and then he comes out more skilled, is able to add value faster to the organization compared to someone who just leaves and then has to kind of undergo some retraining.
So here the argument is that they are educated but they're not skilled.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now in this work that you've done, you've said you're working with NITA, the National Industrial Training Authority. There's also the TVET.
Yes.
The TVET Authority. Those institutions have people who are experienced in these matters that we're talking about. TVET licenses and reviews and inspects the vocational trainings all the way to TVETs. And they have also engaged and interacted with very many other people in the country and outside, from Switzerland and Germany and elsewhere. And they've looked at, okay, so how do we look at matching what we are producing versus what the industry needs. I've seen very many stories here where TVET and Federation of Kenya Employers and Kenya Association of Manufacturers are meeting and talking. So did you talk to them?
Yes, we did.
And are you saying that after all those conversations that TVET has had with the industry and the market, they have not seen how to adjust their curriculum in any way to start addressing the needs of the market, such that now Propeller has to come and start doing its own thing parallel?
Great, that's a good question, Eric. Actually, that is the challenge of international development, is that everybody is always doing something within the space. What I can say is this. There are different approaches to dual approach to learning. Germany does it, Austria does it, Switzerland does it as well. There are different organizations and players out there that have worked with different government, different vocational education institutions. We did speak to TVET. We are also hosted the Principal Secretary, Dr. Esther Moria, to come and see our program in January, so she's well aware. And we're working with them as well. The thing is, everybody has done their program and they've implemented it totally different. How we choose to implement a Swiss contact is via doing this feasibility study, working with private sector. Because you could come and say, I want to introduce a dual approach to learning and do it from a policy space. That is one approach. And so you develop policy that would allow it to happen without having to test on the ground. Our approach is a bit bottom up. Sounds very political, but no. Ours is more bottom up. So we are coming, identifying what are the needs of the private sector. That's our start base. Where is the gap? So there's a gap that exists from our feasibility study where these two components are not speaking to each other. So we get them to speak to each other, develop a curriculum based on these discussions that these key stakeholders have had. Then we test it. Then when we're coming to a point where eventually we are doing advocacy and policy work, we have a backing to say this works because we have localized it. It's from the Kenyan people, by the Kenyan people, and this has been designed for this country. There are different approaches out there, and people are doing it differently, but ours is grounded on this private sector approach.
What are you giving at the end of the training?
We're giving a certification. So because we're working with NITA, so we did not want to get into the pitfall where we come run this program on the sidelines, and then now we want to come and tell the government, could you adopt it? We wanted to work with the National Industrial Training Authority on the premise that they are the ones who hold the apprenticeship model. This is an apprenticeship approach. So They verified it, and then we agreed that they would give they would set the final level of certification, which is the highest grade for NITA, which is grade 1 and equivalent to Kenya National KNQA level 8. Yeah.
So they get that grade 1 certificate, which is recognized by the National Qualifications Authority, which means that they can then use that to upgrade if they want to.
Yes.
And it's recognized, they can go with it wherever they want to go with it.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the people who are spending 75% of time training your trainees are actually the industry.
Yes.
How feasible is it, or are you seeing, for industry to take up the role of training? Because this is what basically it means. It means that the private sector is also becoming the training institute.
Yes.
Is that really feasible? Are you going to see many more people agreeing to bring in some crew from somewhere who is going to spend 1 day in a classroom and then 4 days in my industry, spending the time of my skilled electrician?
So what I would say, just to correct, the Swiss model is the 1 day with the 4 days, but ours is 1 week you go to the school, and then 3 weeks you go to the company, and then it keeps rotating. It's a 2-year program. I would say they were already spending that time training people, because there are different models where they absorb plumbers and electricians. There's the one model where they wait for graduates to come from the vocational education system, and then they bring them in, and they say they still had to train them for at least to retrain them for 2 years so that they can start adding value to the organization. 1. Then there's 2, they are casual laborers who they've also taken in from their sites, where they come with zero skill, zero understanding of what is a pipe or any backing, any theoretical backing, and they start training them. So they are also kind of going through some apprenticeship. So they were doing it anyway.
Okay.
This is a different model because now it's more structured, and it's not haphazard or based on the job that you're doing. It's more structured, and so ideally should give you more value, because this person comes with some backing and knowledge. They know they're undergoing an education. So ideally their attitude should be different, their mindset should be different. They are ready to absorb, and then should give you more value faster because they know they're in a training situation.
What I'm raising, Lillian, is for it to be scaled, it means that you need more and more industries to actually accept this.
Exactly.
And dedicate time, first of all, to train the mentors, for them to understand the curriculum, so that when these Kurutus come, I'm calling them Kurutus specifically, when they come, then this mentor knows how much time they're dedicating to this particular person to pass on the skill.
Yes.
What's the incentive for the private sector to do this?
I would say it's true. It's a mind shift. It's a total mind shift, because yes, training has now come to the company and you have to accept it, right? The incentive for the companies, they're getting skilled workers who are able to then deliver faster and allow them to move faster. There's less wastage of material because they have come with an understanding. They have practiced a bit in the school, because in the school they will not be doing too much practical, but they're doing some time in the workshop. Before they come and cut, before they start drilling, they have been taught on safety and health and safety trainings. They have a good backing as well. So they'll get a skilled worker, they'll get someone who's able to deliver value for them faster. They're able to, something else I needed to mention is this, we did take this private sector, just a core group, the first ones who were willing to go to Switzerland to see how this model works, because I can tell you all about how great this model is, but I have to come and match you to enable you to actually see what are other people doing. So we took them for an exposure visit to businesses that were the same size. So the businesses who actually do this dual apprenticeship approach in Switzerland are not big, renowned, famous companies. They're just mid-level companies that have 15 to 20 workers. So we matched them to the same 15 to 20 workers in Switzerland. When they went and saw, one of the feedback we received is that in a job, let's say they usually have 20 people, let's say in Kenya doing, they found that organization only had 5 people to do that job. So what does that mean for these companies in the longer term? Is that instead of hiring 20 people, you can hire 5 skilled people.
Problem there.
Longer term.
We have many people who need employment.
No. But
us we're going to reduce
you
the
as
number of
private
people.
sector, you are looking at your bottom.
No. But this, it's. Let me say this city. Not everybody, and I want to mention this. Not everybody who does a dual approach to learning gets 100% absorbed into that employment. They already have a skill. When you're skilled, you can stay there and grow. You can decide to go and pursue a certification and become more skilled. You can start your own business as well.
My real concern actually is not even what I was saying. That was just really by the way. Okay? It's an economic battle that has always been there. Mechanization, industrialization. When people are skilled, they come with an added cost. Not just the training, the remuneration for what they now know. The countries you speak of, whether it is Austria, whether it is Germany, whether it is Switzerland, these skilled individuals are paid a premium. That is why the incentive is not something you need to preach very widely. People understand that when you're skilled, in fact, this country speak of Switzerland, such individuals are highly favored more than these theoretical individuals like myself who went through university and learned a lot of theory.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
It's true.
Yeah.
Now, let's come back to Kenya, shall we?
Yes, please.
Yes. When we skill these people, can this skill be exported elsewhere?
Yes.
Meaning I can take that certification from NITA and go to Uganda and tell them I've come from NITA. Okay? I can do this job, and because my remuneration ought to be this, is it something that is exportable?
I would say that's a very good question. Let me say this. This program we're starting, or this flagship, our intention and our hope is that it will be wildly successful and that the government would want to run it in different trades and in different sectors. And in doing so, we would become the skill hub, the hub of skills in East Africa. Then what does that mean is that people will now get jobs, because everyone would say when you're looking for skilled workers, they are found in Kenya. And yes, it can be exported. But I would want to say that the certification, the importance of us having a place or an institution certified within the government of Kenya or within the education system is so that it's recognizable within this country. Should you choose, like any other profession, to go and do it abroad or find an opportunity, there are numerous opportunities. That is possible. But for us, we're trying to create a more skilled workforce and possibly be able, in the longer term, to create great, drive and ambition and a positive thought process in this East Africa region, that this is where skill comes from. And we can also be able to export it. I would want to say in Switzerland, the skills development or this program, the way it's designed and everything, to them it is also a form of revenue for them. Being able to teach or being able to do different things with this particular model is a revenue earner for them. There are many opportunities that lie within this model itself. Yeah.
Danger. When you have very many people who come here with certificates saying that they are skilled and trained plumbers, plumbing becomes expensive.
Yes, it does.
But what I would say is...
But then you have better guarantees.
Yes.
Better guarantees.
Because at the end of the day, you will spend a lot of money with the unskilled one, because you will waste materials, there'll be mistakes, you'll still spend money. But if you get that one good skilled
It'll get to that point where, like where we talk about in those countries where plumbing is actually a job that you come and pay so much.
Yes.
We want to operate with the ask for plumber thing on the poster.
Yeah, because that's what it is.
Which one? The one pasted on a tree.
Ask for plumber on a tree, call that number, guy comes, guy and clogs your toilet.
But you're not
until next week.
That guy comes to your house and plugs something and there's water hitting the roof.
And says,
I think this would be a good solution to that problem.
Wacha niite Chalondi anajuanga hivi akuje tufanye sasa tukiwa wawili madam tutakusaidia.
You put your hands together and see how to solve the problem.
Lillian, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you as well for having me here.
And good work that you're doing. Lillian Mwaindegwa is the country director at Swiss Contact. They are running the program that she's been telling us about, which is called Propeller, which is propelling.
Moving forward. A boost to a brighter future.
There you go. A boost to a brighter future. Keep it here for more conversations coming up in the next hour. A very good morning to you. It's now 8 a.m.
Sugar and spice, and
lights up your life.
Good morning. This is the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga. The president of the Law Society of Kenya has slammed the government for issuing a 24-hour ultimatum for families to leave banditry-infested areas, saying it violates both the letter and spirit of the constitution. LSK boss Eric Theuri says that Interior CS Kithure Kindiki's directive was illegal and did not come from a law-abiding government. Theuri said the government cannot ask people to leave their homes without providing them with directions. Theuri further says the 24 ultimatum from the government for the families to move seems to be criminalizing innocent people. The 7 comes as the government has revised areas to be evacuated by civilians a day after it ordered evacuation in 27 areas in the North Rift ahead of the intensified joint military and police operation against bandits who've killed hundreds. In the new order, Interior CS Kithure Kindiki excluded Kabelbo, Nakwamoru, Lobokwat, Lokoron, Takwel Escarpment and Ombolion from areas to be vacated for security operation and added Nyelecha, Losokoni Caves, Laromoru Gorges, Karao, Nosidian Escapement, Rugus Caves into the list of areas to be evacuated. Kindiki also extended the time to evacuate by a day, as he warned that any member of the public found in the areas specified after today, 1930 hours, will be treated as a suspect of armed banditry or a suspect of aiding and abetting banditry. The 7 Kamsa's residents in the area have urged the government to support them as well as ensure that security is restored.
Mshosho na bunduki kwa sababu mimi ataama saa hii yote.
So mine is only to urge the government that is doing operation, kindly take that operation seriously. We are fed up with losing lives, innocent lives.
Watu wameenda wote wamehama na tuko tunataka watu hame, na ikifika mahali kama hapa sasa ni mahali inafikia ni crisis ambaye sijui nini itakuja kusaidia.
And the Independent Policing Oversight Authority has launched investigations into the shooting of 2 men in Murang'a County. In a statement, IPOA said it had since established that police action resulted in the loss of 2 lives. IPOA also said the authority has dispatched a rapid response team from Nairobi to beef up Nyeri regional investigators during the course.
We are very concerned, and already we have sent our rapid response units, one from our Nyeri branch and another one from Nairobi, to go to the root of those pictures. We want to know whether indeed the police committed those murderous acts.
Central Police Commander Lydia Legami has, however, thanked the public for cooperating with officers in their arrests despite public outcry on which suspects were killed if police arrested them. There
was an exchange of fire between the police and them. 2 were fatally injured, 2 managed to escape, but we were lucky to recover the 2 rifles. They've given us all the support, all the information. They even gave themselves the energies to follow us through the forest and gave us leads through the forest, and we managed to arrest these people.
IPOA also wants to ascertain how much money was recovered from the suspects, despite police stating that they recovered 1.13 million shillings from the total amount that was robbed.
Out of the alleged 4M that was stolen from the bank, we've recovered 1.370.
Public Service Commission has released a list of 10 candidates who will be interviewed to fill the positions in the Salaries Remuneration Commission. The 10 are among 103 people who had applied for the position. Some of them include former Taveta constituency MP Naomi Shaban, former Limuru MP Peter Moathi, former Wasingishu Senator Isaac Meli, among others. The 10 will be interviewed on Wednesday next week from 8 a.m. And residents of Nairobi County may face water shortages following the continued decrease in the water levels at Ndakaini Dam. Nairobi Water and Sewerage MD Nahashon Muguna says they'll start rationing water if the situation worsens. On Friday last week, several people were arrested in Kibra and Langata Street in illegal connections of water that was affecting water services in the area. And in the international scene, China said that it will reopen its borders to foreign tourists for the first time in 3 years since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic by restoring the issuance of all types of visas from tomorrow. The removal of this last cross-border control measure imposed to guard against COVID-19 comes after authorities last month declared victory over a recent surge in the virus. The boost to the tourism sector should help rekindle a $17 trillion economy that last year suffered one of its slowest rates of growth. That's the Newswire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
We've got quite some traffic on Langata Road this morning, and it's getting towards Aerodrome and then out towards Huru Highway. It's also heavy on Ngong Road now. We're looking at what's coming in from Gitanga Road, Naivasha Road, this whole area, Wayaki Way coming in from Kangemi, and James Gishuru also pretty busy this morning getting into the city. Kiambu Road is heavy, not so bad on the Thika Super Highway this morning. We're looking at a little bit of it coming past the Utali Drift, and then in other parts of the city, not too bad. Right, that's what it looks like so far. Outer Ring then coming and joining Thika Road on the other side, coming in from North Airport Road is also bumper to bumper in some parts. SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Talk to us about where you might be stuck this morning, and let's try to keep things moving.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room,
7 minutes
the only way to start your day.
Of the Situation Room today, the 14th day of March 2023. Thank you very much for keeping it locked on Spice FM, on KTN Home, or online on YouTube and Facebook, where we live stream the show every morning. And remember, if you miss any part of the show, okay, don't worry. Just go back to YouTube or Facebook and you pull out the previous day's show or the day's show or whatever, and you will find all our conversations. All right, feel free to share the links as well with your friends. When you find something interesting, click share and let them see it as well. So now we want to bring our conversation back into research. Our friends from the Kemri Welcome Research Program back in the studio. This time we have the head of engagement, Noni Mumba, who's our guest. We are going to talk about what? About research ethics. So research involves dealing with the community. When you go to the community, there are certain expectations of the research, and there's expectation or zero expectation understanding by community. So how do you deal with those ones, and how do you make sure that this relationship is actually a good one? This is what CT teaches on his private time, and he'll definitely tell us one or two things about it, and then Noni will. Noni, good morning.
Good morning, Eric.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Thank you.
The hot seat of the Situation Room. How is it?
It doesn't feel so hot, but I'm happy to be here. It's a real pleasure and a real honor. I'm looking forward to excellent and nice conversations with you and the rest of Kenya.
As always.
Yes.
That's what we have here every morning.
Yeah.
City has the day's proverb, which is he's looking back and commemorating all the years that he's been alive, and he's decided, you know what, there's a book that is as old as I am.
Okay.
And this book is called Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe.
Its publication is actually 3 years younger than I.
Imagine.
The book was first published on the 17th of June 1958.
I read Chinua Achebe, Things Fall Apart. I don't know whether I can remember anything that I read. It was an interesting book.
But now, as you tell her today's proverb, start by reminding her snippets of that story that led into this particular phrase that had the proverb.
Okay. Things Fall Apart was a set book for very many years. Now, I happened to, in a previous life, been a teacher of literature as well, and I taught this book at some point, but I'd read it. Now, the story revolves around a certain character called Okonkwo. But the entire storyline is about not just colonization, the understanding of the colonialists of African culture. And the character that is at the center of this story embodies the culture that was slowly being encroached upon by the Western culture. And one sees the effects, not just in the lives of the people in this particular book, but how it is that the people who were the colonizers viewed this culture and how they totally disregarded the importance of it. And yet it was an enormous, rich culture that had so many things in it. Mm-hmm. Now, these proverbs highlight the wealth that this particular community had in terms of their tradition.
Okay.
So I chose 5 proverbs. There are around 9 proverbs in this book, but I chose 5. Okay, it's called literary license. I can decide to choose. The sun will shine on those who stand before, it shines on those who kneel under them.
Say it again.
The sun will shine on those who stand before, it shines on those who kneel under them.
You're nodding your head. Takes you many years back.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you understand? What's your interpretation of this proverb?
I think in very, very simple terms, the closer you are to the sun, when you stand, you're closer to the sun. So the closer you are to the sun, the more it will hit on you. You'll feel the warmth. And the lower you are, if you're kneeling, you're much lower. It won't get you, and possibly the person standing will cast a shadow over you, and so you won't feel the warmth of the sun that much. So the closer you are to the good things, the sun brings life. And so the closer you are to good things, the more you benefit, I think.
The first bit of the question had 5 marks. I've given you 4. The second bit also had 5.
Okay.
I've given you 5.
Oh, great. That's good.
9 out of 10.
Yeah. Excellent.
Very
Now,
good.
no, don't worry. She hasn't missed it. It's a 10 out of 10 situation here. The one was for effort.
Okay.
You made the effort.
Okay.
10 out of 10.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That's everything.
Yes.
Please, Noni, let's talk about research ethics. And this is what you deal with on a daily basis at the Kemri Wellcome Trust research program. So what is it that you do as head of engagement?
Good question. So my work at what we call the program, so when we talk about Kemri Wellcome Trust, we just call it the program. So my work in Kilifi revolves around coordinating the development, thinking through what kind of activities can we do, like in a nutshell, that bring researchers and community members and stakeholders, Ministry of Health together to have conversations about the research that is really important, is being undertaken, is being planned. In a nutshell.
In a nutshell.
Yeah, just creating activities, talking about them and making sure those activities are there, they're happening, and we monitor how they happen, make changes where changes need. So that's my work. And I work with a team, so I supervise that team as well.
Why is it important to bring stakeholders together at the onset of a project? Why do you have to bring the researchers and the community and the other stakeholders, government, NGOs and all together?
So research is really important. My colleague who was here before, Professor Sam Kinyanjui, talked about how research is a tool that enables the development of things that are important for humans, either medicine or other kind of interventions. So it's important to bring all these stakeholders that we're talking about have an expectation or have an interest in research that is being planned or is being implemented. And so it's important to bring them right from the start into a table to be able to discuss what are the priorities, why are we asking, why is this question important to answer, what do we want to find out, and for the communities, how will it benefit us, what are you exactly going to do? So sort of like getting them into the room to discuss all of that, because research is really important and it can't be put aside and just be done by the scientists by themselves. All these stakeholders need to come onto the table to be able to discuss these really important things.
Why must they discuss these important things? Why can't they just be told, and then we hope against all hope that they will understand what they've been told and thereafter implement what they have been told?
It's about them. I mean, the basic things of life is that research, for example, happens in people. So a research is conducted on people. You are either going to answer some questions, you're going to have some samples taken from you, so you need to have an interest because it will impact you anyway. If it is not the individual being impacted, it is the health systems that will be impacted by this scientist who is developing an intervention or is answering a question that is going to change how things are done, for example, in a hospital or in a health setting. So it's important for people to be interested because it will impact their lives anyway, in one way or another.
Yeah. Sure. So even as we have the discussion talking about ethics, already coming from the premise that, ethics are about what you should or should not do.
Yes.
The lines within which you can or cannot color. So when it comes to research, one would think this is a good thing. We're doing research, we're finding out, solutions to problems. In this case, health-wise. So what are some of the boundaries then you start to look at? What are some of the research ethics that you then bind or are bound by?
So when you're thinking about research that takes place amongst human participants, human volunteers, somebody is going to come and volunteer their time, perhaps even their body, for you to be able to conduct a clinical trial, test a drug or test a vaccine. So some of the things that are binding or they bind these researchers, they have to abide by things like, so there are three key things actually. One is respecting these individuals, respecting this person who is going to participate in the research. And how do you demonstrate that you respect this person? You have to give them adequate information. The information has to be in a language that they can understand. And you have to respect that they have the right to agree to participate and they can withdraw from that research at any particular time. So that's one key thing, respecting these individuals and demonstrating that respect by providing for them information and then allowing them to make an independent decision. And even when they join the research, they should know that they can come out without any consequences. The second really important thing that researchers are bound by is something we call beneficence, or the ethics guidelines called beneficence. And in simple terms, what that means is are there any harms that are going to come out of this research? How can they be minimized so that this individual who is participating in the research does not get harmed? Is this person going to get into their pocket? Are they going to undergo any costs to participate in this research? And how are you going to sort that out? If it is something like a drug trial or a vaccine trial, how are you going to cater for the medical costs of this person once you have given them that interview? So that's a second thing. The third thing that binds scientists is something that is called justice. And justice simply means, is this research going to benefit that population that you're implementing or conducting the research on? How are they benefiting from it? Are you giving people a fair chance of being able to participate in research? Are you making it open, or are you handpicking some select people and you keep going back to those ones for one reason or another? So basically those three things really bind scientists.
Maybe I can take you a step then, just a few steps back. Why was it necessary then to institute research ethics? Because obviously sometimes when you look at any kind of regulation, it meant that things had gone haywire at some point. So why was it necessary to have this done?
Going back now to my research ethics class or training. So indeed, when you look at science and people wanting to discover things, there can be a tendency for people to manipulate, to exploit, and especially in settings where we have people who we can call vulnerable. Maybe their literacy levels are low. They may not be able to understand all this scientific jargon. So in the past, many years back, there were what we call atrocities that happened. Scientists would experiment on humans, and they would not give them an opportunity to opt out, for example. They would not give them any information, and they would conduct really bad experiments. For example, freezing somebody's limbs just to find out how long can a limb stay frozen, and or a
lobotomy with no anesthesia,
stuff like that. So
and the person is alive, by the way.
Yes. Yeah. So there are these atrocities that happened in the past, and of course people came out in arms about them. Both people, the experts. A lot of these were being done by medics, so medical fraternity. So people came up in arms, and some of these were taken, to court. Some were jailed, and then, guidelines now were developed to say how then can we, because research is important. We still need to do research, but how can it be done in a manner that these humans are going to be protected?
And are there fine lines? Because I think in some of the atrocities that you think about, and many not too long ago, we had people. Usually of black persuasion, who were injected with syphilis.
Yes.
To see how they were going to react. But today we have vaccines, and we're doing the exact same thing, isn't it? We're injecting people with the disease. What's the difference then between the two when we're looking at ethical lines?
So there are fine lines. The difference would be that, as I've said, this person is going to be given information. However, before this a particular product is injected in a human, there will already be tests that will have been done. So this researcher has to prove that this product that I'm injecting into this person has a certain percentage of safety that is acceptable. It has undergone thorough testing before, either in the lab and then amongst some animal, and then perhaps in a first human and maybe 2 other humans, and it has been seen to be safe. So all of that needs to there has to be that testing has to happen, and then there has to be a group of people, experts, who understand these things, who will also review all that data that comes out of all these tests, who can say this is safe to be able to go on. And then, of course, the key thing is people are not forced.
Yes.
And then there's many other things that have been put in place to ensure that a person has recourse. So if at all this drug, for example, or vaccine is tested, or this thing is injected and somebody gets harmed, there's insurance. There's the researcher has due diligence to be able to cater for the care of this person for as long as it is proven that they have been harmed by this product.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's difficult work, isn't it?
Very difficult. And more difficult to explain it to the community.
But then that brings us then to the question is, when you have research scientists, researchers who are involved in research that involves human subjects, how then do we ensure that they are well trained to be able to accomplish this really difficult and sensitive task? Understanding the needs of the community, communicating this scientific message in a language that can be understood, and then how then do they determine that it has been understood? And how do we also get the community to understand that beyond participating, they're actually partners in the process, because without them, this process will actually be dead before it even actually begins. Again, a complex situation.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So you've asked 2 things: how the scientists are prepared in terms of training, and then you've asked how does the community come in terms of them understanding about their own role. So I'll start with the first one. So the preparation of the scientists starts way early, especially now, in line with enabling them to understand their role in helping community members or research participants to understand research. I'll give an example of our program. And what we do is, which again, Sam Kinyanjui spoke about, we begin to engage very early, like even at primary school level. We are beginning to talk to young people about science. We are beginning to show people that it is important to respect research participants. If a scientist approaches you as a research participant, they have to show that they respect you by doing certain things. And that goes up to secondary school, to people who are in graduate school, they're doing their bachelor's. When they come into our program, for example, at Cambridge Wellcome Trust, where we have internship programs and then master's programs and then PhD programs, they are these students who are learning to become researchers. They are in an environment where we have already established systems that show that you must respect the community. And so we begin to train them that way. They participate in discussions where we are talking about how do we engage our community members. As an engagement team, myself, together with my colleagues, we have seminars, we have meetings, we have in-house what we call exhibitions, where we talk to our research staff on the importance of engaging the population. On the community side, we go out to the community. We have community barazas, we have our community meetings, we invite community members into our facilities. And we do that not only to help them to understand what research is, but also to help them understand these three things that we've spoken about. Respect for persons. Are you benefiting? Is this research going to harm you? Is there justice? To understand those key three things, so that then they can understand that they have a role to play. Their opinions are important. They are not just subjects on the receiving end of a scientist's needle and whatever else. That it's important for them to also share their opinions and be open about what they want to see happen and what they don't want to see happen.
How do you get the participants to understand that when they are participating in a study, they haven't been employed?
Again, talking to them. So all these structures that we have put in place in terms of activities that we hold in the research program, we explain what is research, and when you're participating in research, what is research and what is employment and what is the difference. Of course, there are things, Muga, like payment. So when a community member is participating,
you have preempted my thoughts exactly.
There's payment, so they'll receive a payment. So we have an explanation. We use the information sheet that I talked about when I said when you're demonstrating respect for persons, you have to give them information. So we have an elaborate template that explains the research that this community member is joining in. And there are sections in that template that talk about what exactly are you getting into and what is owed to you. What are you going to get out of it? So we basically let them know that if you travel to a research site, we have to reimburse your bus fare or taxi fare or whatever. And because we will have taken your time, maybe you'd have gone off to do what in Kenya we call here akibarua, casual labor work. You would have gotten something out of that. So because we have taken you away from that, then we have to compensate you. So it's not employment, but that's a language that we use. In Swahili, we use tunakuregeshea. So we are just reimbursing you. We are paying back what you would have earned. So it's not that is an employment that somebody has gotten.
Does that all those things that you've explained?
Yes.
Is that how the beneficiary or the research participant actually understands it? Tunakuregeshea, tunakulipia, tunakunini.
Yes.
Does it all come out as you're paying me for it? I mean, just think about whatever. Even in a formal company such as this one,
yes,
when there's reimbursement for whatever per diem,
yes,
is it payment or is it reimbursement?
So when
in
it is
in people's understanding,
it is a payment.
There you go.
But we also have to make them understand what type of a payment and what is the payment for. So in as much as the community member will feel like this is a payment, I'm being given a payment, we have to go to those lengths of explaining, but why are we paying you?
Sure. Does it hurt if you I'm sorry. does it hurt then if you're looking at the general guidelines or the parameters of the research, even now as we look at the ethics of it, does it then hurt if you don't? Because communication is not just one way. Communication, it's a full definition, is that I communicate something to you. It's only complete if there's an understanding and there's feedback. So does it then hurt the ethical guidelines within which you operate if the participants in the research do not understand that I'm not coming here to be injected with the placebo or whatever for payment, but it is that I'm taking my time out that I would have used to do something else, and they're saying, okay, well, thank you for participating in this, let us reimburse you. If they don't understand that, does it then, does it shade on those ethical lines?
It does to an extent. I don't know whether I would use the word hurt, but it diminishes that ethical conduct.
Or the integrity of the
research. The integrity, if somebody feels like I'm being paid. And indeed, in the past, we have had people who have said, Ninalipwa, I am being paid. But that's why we have this engagement platform, because we are continuously trying to build the understanding in this population that it is, you see it as a payment, but in actual fact, it is not a payment. It is compensating you for the time that you have taken to participate. And a good number of community members actually understand that, but you'll have the odd person who will say, nimelipwa or ninalipwa, or sometimes even a journalist saying, get paid for participating in this research. You
could argue the same way. I mean, politicians, out of the kindness of their own heart, reimburse people for transport for coming to their meetings and their rallies. And the people understand it as such.
As payment.
No, as reimbursement for, taking their time for coming to
a standing allowance.
This politicians' meeting. I mean, nobody even looks at it as a payment or bribery. No. As Kenyans. When a politician says that you've come for my meeting, so shika hii 500 kila mtu, lunch. You understand it as that. Ni lunch too. Si malipo. Let's take a break. We continue this conversation. Nori Mumba is the head of engagement at the Kemri Wellcome Trust Research Program. She's here to talk about the research ethics, why it's important to have community and public engagement, and how to actually manage that community and public engagement in the research programs. Noni, you've heard of Flying Emirates. We've been talking about this. We have a partnership with Emirates. For every guest who comes here, we tell them about the benefits of flying business or first class with Emirates. Do the honors.
Luxury in the sky.
Wow.
You know how you go to bed at night and you lay flat, you say, finally, here I am. Now imagine, and you have a business trip, or whatever other kind of trip that you're taking, and you get to do the same thing in the sky.
Wow.
Imagine sitting around with your friends, having a coffee or another drink in the sky, eating dinner with real crockery, silverware in the sky, and then landing and having an opportunity to be refreshed and stepping out as though you just stepped out of the shower. It doesn't get better than that.
I'm sure it doesn't.
Fly better with Emirates. 27-9. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The rain is coming in Nairobi. We'll see cloudy conditions for most parts of today, highs of 28 and lows of 16. It's 18 and sunny in parts of Nakuru, highs of 28, and we'll see highs of 27 in a partly sunny Nyeri at 17. It's cloudy at 14 in Eldoret, highs of 24, and looking at partly sunny conditions in Mombasa with highs of 32. Let's go into Malindi where it's sunny at 27 with highs of 31. Cloudy conditions after the rain in Kisumu at 21 with highs of 27. It's 17 and cloudy in Kakamega with highs of 26. We'll see lows of 17. Rain showers continue in Kampala at 19, highs of 25, and we'll see highs of 31 in a sunny Dar es Salaam at 27. It's cloudy at 13 in Johannesburg, highs of 26 and lows of 12, and Lagos dropping ever so slightly is 26 and mostly clear. We'll see highs of 33 and lows of 26. Kinshasa's cloudy at 24. It'll go to highs of 31.
Spice up your life.
It continues for the most part in several parts of the city. Most vehicles moving towards the CBD this morning. Still heavy on Gong Road. A little bit here on the other Thika Superhighway and Kiambu Road as well. Limuru Road is doing the thing, spilling over traffic from Red Hill Link Road, which is all coming off Waiyaki Way and James Gishuru. So that is very busy right about now. We're looking at it coming in heavy on Wangari Maathai Way and then coming in through the city centre. Okay, something's going on that North Airport Road coming in from Imaradaima out through towards North Airport Road and then on to that whole outer ring area. So watch out for that. SpiceFM, KE on Twitter, talk to us there. We want to keep things moving.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Noni Mumba, who's the head of engagement at the Camry Wellcome Trust Research Program, talking about research ethics. Noni, is there a body that is in charge of regulating research in ethics in research? Or number one. Number two, is there a set published code of conduct or guidelines that talk about these are the ethics in research and this is what you're supposed to do? And who oversights this? Who enforces this?
There are bodies, local, right from even the county level, all the way to the national level, all the way to international level, that govern research. And they do follow set and written guidelines. So guidelines are like the Belmont report that came out of these atrocities that we're talking about, Nuremberg Code. And then there are guidelines that are for clinical trials, for example. And so all these guidelines, what happens is at, for example, national level, countries or the bodies at national level that are responsible for research conduct take all these guidelines and then contextualize them, make them suitable for the local context, and so develop country-specific ethics and scientific guidelines that then researchers operating in that particular country are supposed to follow. Then, as I've said, right at the local level, there are committees that have been set up. So at Camry Wellcome, for example, we have a local institutional committee of experts. So when a scientist develops their research protocol or what we call a research proposal, it is interrogated thoroughly by like-minded experts who are removed from that research. They're not part and parcel of that research. And so they interrogate the science, the scientific procedures that are going to be there, that are going to be conducted on the people, including even if it's just questions. And as an engagement team, we also look at those research protocols to interrogate how are you communicating this information? Have you included all the information that you've talked about in the proposal in this information sheet that is going to go to the person. And that goes all the way to national level. So those things are looked at even at the national level. We have a body under the Ministry, I think, of Science and Technology called NACOSTI. And NACOSTI looks at all the research that is being implemented. But we also have, as Kenya Medical Research Institute, we have a scientific and ethics review unit that looks at all these protocols. Hospitals, universities that have research work being undertaken in those hospitals, like Kenyatta National Hospital, will have a scientific and ethics committee that reviews research which is happening within Kenyatta National Hospital. The same with people like Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, Coast Referral Teaching Hospital in Mombasa. They would have their own internal ethics body that when a researcher brings a protocol, they read it page to page.
So this sounds like they're doing it at that beginning stage.
Yes.
At the point of implementation, at the point of research.
Yes.
Who comes to the ground to make sure that all these things that you put on paper are actually being implemented and followed?
So these research committees themselves are supposed to, from time to time, come down to the ground to do their own audits or to do their own monitoring. And internally, even research institutions, we have our own, for example, what we call monitors, especially for clinical trials. And the work of monitors is to do their own internal, the way an organization can have an internal audit system. I worked in my past life for Population Services International, and they had their own internal audit group of people who would randomly pick files and look at, how are payments being made, who has eaten money, and so on and so forth. So it's the same thing. So these monitors, it's true, Muga. So these monitors go and pick like a random file of a clinical trial that's happening. Maybe it's a vaccine trial. They go pick a random file and they flip through, for example, the informed consent sheets. Have they been signed? Do they demonstrate that this information was given to a research participant and they signed, certain things? So there are those processes in place at the national level, institutional level, where people actually audit and monitor what is happening.
Do the monitors go to the community to find out, to gauge their understanding of this thing that they signed? Those things we were talking about. Do they understand that this was just a transport reimbursement and not a payment? Do they understand that just by coming here, or what you're doing is you have actually volunteered your time and goodwill to participate in this and not unemployment? Do they go to understand how much effort the researcher has actually taken to explain this thing on paper to the community, and has the community understood it as such?
Now that's our work. The monitors do the monitoring at the institutional level. Our work as an engagement team, working with the social scientists whom we are in the same department, do now that work. So we conduct research, what we call qualitative research. We conduct focus group discussions or even in-depth interviews, and we could be answering that question, that do community members understand these contents? And some of those conversations have led now to us developing very clear and very simple information sheets that are now being used in our research institution for relaying information, because we've sat with community members to gauge their understanding of what do you understand by compensation, what language would be appropriate for you to be able to understand some of these things. So we do that social science work, we get findings, and then we share those findings with the scientists, either through a seminar or sometimes even through a publication, to let them know that we need to improve on our communication. We need to change how we need to train even our research staff on how they are communicating research terminologies to the community members.
There's a bit of a problem here.
Yes.
And this problem is threefold. One, research, medical research that involves human beings is most often conducted among poor people. Now, unfortunately, poverty comes with vulnerability.
Yeah.
So, any amount of money that you give as reimbursement you can twist it as much as you like, it will, because of the impact it makes on a person's life, you see, they will interpret that money in terms of what it does for them, not in terms of what we say. So, is it that our model for conducting research needs perhaps retweaking and relooking into? Or is it that because, say, a country like Kenya, the vast majority of people are poor, and so when you conduct research among people who are economically disadvantaged, you're actually getting the pulse of the nation, so to speak. Now, second point, because of the aforementioned, you then have a situation where, if you're Kenyan, you will understand. Somebody will look for opportunities to participate in a study because it promises them something that ordinarily they would not get. Now, that will have a direct influence on what it is that this individual responds to and how they respond. It may not be adverse, but there will be a response. Now, if research is conducted among a certain population over a period of time, people get to the point where they now have an understanding of research. Again, now this is the problem. Then they get professional about it, because there is this little element of what we researchers will want to call reimbursement, but them, they know it's payday.
Yeah.
You join this research, and with the time, you talk about focus group discussion, they will have their own focus group discussions in the community when you're not involved. And they'll even know how to respond to these questions that you think you're going to ask them. So they, just like the research scientists are professionals, the community then become professional research participants.
True.
Okay. I think you know I'm going with this one.
I think so. I don't know whether you want me to respond now or you
I
want to
do
continue.
want you to respond.
No, just go there first.
Yes.
So that all of
Okay.
us can be there with you.
I think Muga,
Let him
you're-
ask the question.
Okay.
No.
Siti, ask the question.
She's got it. She has got it.
Okay.
She has got it.
Yeah, I think you're right in that research is there's research that is conducted in low and middle income countries where people are what you would call vulnerable. They are poor, and because they are poor, they are also probably hardest hit by health problems or health issues. They have limited access, for example, to healthcare. They are prone to getting infections a lot of times. So in Kilifi, for example, if I give an example of Kilifi, by the time the research center was being set up, deaths of children under 5 caused by malaria were very high. So obviously the research that is going there is not just being taken there like maybe to exploit these people because they are poor, they are vulnerable. It's actually going to help. Now, over time, are people becoming professional participants of research? And we have conducted, as I said, we conduct social science studies, and we have conducted social science studies to look at when somebody is joining a research, what are they thinking about? And they are, to be very honest, they are thinking about, what will I get out of it? I'll participate, but what will I get out of it? So we can't run, those are realities of life. Somebody would have gone somewhere and they would have gotten some money, but then they're participating in this research where they don't have to do back-breaking work. Of carrying cement and whatnot. They just have to visit a clinic and have 2 ml blood removed from their arm, and then they go home and they get their days what they would have earned. So we cannot run away from the reality of the fact that some people are in it for the money, but there's also people who are in it because they actually feel, and we have had community members saying, I want even to be given a certificate to show that I participated in this research because I have not only helped myself, I have helped my community, and I have helped even just the world because I have participated in this research, and I'm going to help the scientists to get an answer to the question that they are asking. Yeah. So in a nutshell, you are right.
Some long-term research projects, Noni.
Yeah.
Like when we visited Kilifi, we saw the epilepsy program.
Yes.
Right. That's a long-term project.
Yes.
And it involves people who actually have the condition of epilepsy coming to the facility every so often. But as they're doing this, the researchers are gaining data from them. There's the other project that we visited,
Sickle cell.
the sickle cell, right? Same, long term. Do those people, how do you explain to them? I mean, I am unwell and I am coming to the facility, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm coming to this facility because I'm getting help. But at the same time, I'm subject for research. How do you explain that to the person?
So in our engagement activities, the various kinds of engagement activities that we conduct, when we do community barazas, when we invite community members into our premises to take them around the laboratories, we are exposing them to research, and we are explaining to them that our main mandate, we are not a hospital, our main mandate is research. And so as a community member, when you come into the sickle cell clinic or you come into the epilepsy clinic, you are coming in as a research participant. However, the researcher has is required to offer also medical assistance. So we run our epilepsy clinic and our sickle cell clinic both as research clinics, but also as clinics where people just come to access care. But through our engagement activities, we are out in the community most of the time, apart from when COVID was happening, and we're explaining to people that our mandate is research. Do they understand that very well? Perhaps not so much. There are some who understand, there are some who don't understand. But our work as an engagement team is just to continue passing on that information, that our mandate, we are not a hospital. But people would get that confusion, because apart from the sickle cell clinic and the epilepsy clinic, our scientists who are medics also see patients. They do ward rounds in Kilifi County Hospital, and they're wearing a Kemri Welcome Trust, badge. And so when you go to the population, they will say, do you have a patient? Take them to Kemri. They mean take them to Kilifi County Hospital. But when they get into the ward, they'll see a medic, maybe in a lab coat or maybe not in a lab coat, but they're wearing a tag and they have that file and they're taking, vitals and so on and so forth. So there is that, we acknowledge that there is that confusion between research and medical care, but our work as an engagement team is through these platforms like radio, like the community activities that we do, all these events that we have in terms of engagement, is to continue passing on that information, that our mandate is research.
Is it really confusion? Because sometimes our interpretation of confusion is what the community is explaining to you is how they understand it.
Yes.
And the understanding is based on, as I said, the impact that intervention has on them.
Yes.
So that interpretation is actually important. Now, that's one. Two, on the subject of reimbursement, ethical review boards have this view, I don't know whether they've changed it, that if you reimburse anything above 100, it's coercive, 100 shillings that is. My question is, why not give them 2,000? Why not give them money that can actually help them? Because if you give someone 2,000 shillings in the rural area, believe me,
you've sorted
out very many things.
But what are you reimbursing there?
No, you are reimbursing.
Are we're quantifying time from 8 a.m. up to 4 p.m. We're quantifying transport.
Yes. I am saying that it's a subject that needs to be debated.
It is.
Because even when people say that they're coming for the money, so what? What is wrong with them coming for the money? Are we saying there's a direct correlation between someone coming for the money and the information they give you? I'm simply saying the ethical issues around the participants, and given the socioeconomic disadvantages and just given where they come from, okay? And if you measure that against the understanding of research scientist, somebody who's involved in research, to marry it, at some level, we need to understand seriously and literally where this participant is coming from and see it from their point of view. Yes. What does 200 do for you? What does 500 do for you? What does 1,000 shillings do for you? What does 2,000 shillings do for you? I'm not saying go and give everybody 2,000 shillings. I'm simply saying
Open it up for debate.
Yes, open it up for discussions and have a wholesome discussion where even the subject of coercion is discussed.
I hope they're listening to you.
At what point does it become coercion?
You see, there is this tricky bit where, and the ethical review boards are right. If you pay a certain amount of money, then essentially you're enticing this person and it's no longer voluntary.
There's also a word I want you to add to that, which is exploitation.
Yes.
Because there's potential for scientists to exploit this, what we are calling vulnerable people.
Yes.
Because you can just, throw money at these people and they won't care about the risk.
Because they're looking at the money.
So it's a big debate, Muga.
But you know where I'm coming from?
Yes.
That vulnerable group, 50 bob is coercive. 100 shillings is coercive.
You're right.
Anything from zero.
Right.
Yes, it's coercive. So why peg it to 200 or 300? Why just
it's
not?
A big debate.
Yes.
Why not make it worthwhile?
Yeah, precisely.
Okay. But there'd be other checks and balances, just besides the money. If the researcher has come and given, okay, this is, I understand. So this is your life. These are your needs. If I gave you this much, this is how much you'd benefit from it. But the researcher still follows the other ethical values that they are supposed to. Says that's okay. I mean, would it only be exploitative because of money?
No. So, beyond the money, of course, there are many other things that need to be, somebody needs to guard against, in addition to ensuring that somebody is not getting into their own pocket. So I've talked about medical care, for example. So even medical care can be coercive. So when somebody is going to be screened and get a full body check, liver function test, is your kidney working?
For free.
And this is something which, when they go to Aga Khan Hospital, they'll pay through the nose to do. Yeah, so there's many things that when you look at them, they could be looked at as coercion, but it's a requirement. Ethics binds you to be able to do that before you actually say, I'm picking this person to participate in my research.
Over and above all of this, have you found, just looking at the length and breadth of the research that, Camry does, Kilifi being, big spot, but then also around the country, have you found that more, I don't know how you answer this, have you found that more or less you've been able to keep within the lines of the ethical requirements of research across board, whether it's dealing with children, whether it's dealing with, vulnerable in other areas? Have you found that the research has more or less kept within these requirements?
I can say to a very big extent, yes. Maybe I would be asked, how do you measure that? Yes. But it goes by, how many concerns, for example, come to us from community members when we are implementing research activities, when audits are conducted, when monitors visit, and the monitor, as I said, are internal. Sometimes you get even external monitors. When they come to do their audits, what do they find? Do they find that we are actually adhering to these rules and regulations, these guidelines that are out there, or do they pick out? So quite often we have been, marked well, if I can use that word, in terms of how we conduct our research. But it is because we have made deliberate steps to ensure that through our engagement platform and the engagement activities that we are conducting, community members have a basic understanding of what is my right as a person, as I'm participating in research, and the researcher also, on the other hand, has an understanding of what are community members' concerns, what do we need to make sure that is available and is done to make sure that our research is conducted in an ethical manner. Yeah.
And have you ever had to abandon a project because it was going to fault on the research requirements?
not that I know of. I joined Kemri in 2013. From that time to date, I have not heard of. But so what I can say is at the institutional review board, the internal review board, sometimes a scientist will come with a proposal and say, I want to conduct this research. And then they'll be asked by these other experts, but why do you want to get more blood samples from community members? And we already have samples in the lab. So rather than take community members into trouble of this, we do have some samples that can answer your question. So in that case, yes, we have had research that sometimes a scientist comes and they are told, no, use stored samples. Sometimes at the institutional level, it will pass. When it gets to the national level, it will be brought back. Yes. Yeah.
Noni, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Ukirudi Kilifi, wasalimie sana watu wa Kilifi.
Asante sana.
Tafadhali spend a day, visit our friends in Magarini. They've been complaining hakuna mvua, waambie usijali.
In my other life, I'm a reverend, so of the Anglican Church of Kenya. So nitawaombea. Nitawatembelea kisha nitawaombea. Yes.
We are hoping that from tomorrow, mid-March,
rains will come.
Rains will come.
Amen to that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Noni Mumba is the head of engagement at the Kemri Wellcome Trust Research Program. Keep it here for more. Good morning, 9 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is the News Wire. I'm Leah Umaga. Italian President Sergio Mattarella is set to hold talks with the Kenyan President William Ruto in a bid to strengthen ties between the two nations. The meeting is expected to take place at State House in Nairobi and will cover a range of topics including trade, security and tourism. Sergio arrived in the country yesterday night and was received by Cabinet Secretary for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs Alfred Mutua. Italy is one of Kenya's major trading partners, with bilateral trade between the two countries standing at over 300 million euros in 2021. The meeting between the two presidents is expected to explore ways to further enhance trade and investment between the two nations. Wiper Party Deputy Secretary General Dan Manzo has said former Interior CS Fred Matiang'i should sue the government. Manzo says that the saga surrounding the former CS was purely politically castigated. Manzo, who doubles as Kitui Senator, said there was no case that the former CS was answerable to. Recounting his encounter at the DCI, Manzo said he was denied entry at the DCI headquarters. The Senator said Matiang'i, who is a former Interior CS, should have security guarding his premises. Yesterday, the Director of Public Prosecutions, Nudin Haji, said there was no sufficient evidence provided to charge Matiang'i. Police in Narok West Sub-County are investigating a road accident in which a tourist died and two others were injured in the Masai Mara. The accident happened near the Serena Hotel. Narok County Commissioner Isaac Masinde says the 5 tourists were in a Toyota Land Cruiser belonging to Bush Adventure, which was being driven by Anthony Munene. This event comes as a heavy downpour has been experienced in the Mara, making many roads impassable. Police are investigating another incident in which the body of a 30-year-old woman was found in a house moments after an assailant tried to set it ablaze in Kayole, Nairobi. Residents detected smoke billowing from the house while it was locked from the outside and decided to check what the problem was. Nairobi Police Boss Adamson Bungay said it was then that the mob realized a female body lying on the floor. He said they're yet to establish the motive of the matter. Public Service Commission has released a list of 10 candidates who will be interviewed to fill the positions in the Salaries Remuneration Commission. The 10 are among 103 people who'd applied for the position. Some of them include former TVET constituency MP Naomi Shaban, former Limuru MP Peter Mwadhi, former Wasingishu Senator Isaac Meli, among others. The 10 will be interviewed on Wednesday next week from 8 a.m. 51 fishermen arrested by the Ugandan government have been released. The fishermen were arrested last Saturday and detained in the country. Homa Bay County Commissioner Moses Lilan says the fishermen had been released following talks between Kenyan and Ugandan government officials.
This is to confirm that on Saturday we received reports that a total of 51 fishermen from Remba Island had been arrested by Ugandan authorities, and also 17 boats had been impounded in the region of Lolwe and Kabale areas of Uganda concerning licensing of fishing vessels that are normally given to the fishermen. I want also to confirm that upon our coordination and also communication with our colleagues from Uganda, we've been able to secure the release of the 51 fishermen. 7 boats have also been released.
And the 40 million graft case against Embakasi North MP James Gakuya will be mentioned today. The case was adjourned following the transfer of the trial magistrate Elizabeth Juma to Nakuru court. The case was allocated before another trial court for further directions today. Gakuya was charged in 2018 with 4 counts of conflict of interest for allegedly awarding tenders for road construction to companies linked to him. Gakuya is charged alongside Cleophas Oyaro, Mrs. Lea Waithera, and Constituency Development Fund Chairman Richard Chuchu. And in the international scene, at least 21 migrants died when their boat sank off the coast of Madagascar over the weekend. The island's nation's maritime authorities said revising downwards its earlier toll. Director General of the Madagascar Maritime Authority, Jean Edmond, says 2 people are still missing and 24 have survived. He adds that they assume that there were 47 people on board. That's the Newswire. I'm Lea Ubaga.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Good morning, or a few minutes after 9 o'clock, and we have still some traffic coming off North Airport Road, spilling over to Outer Ring. Southern Bypass has looked good for most parts of the morning, so we don't have any problems there. It's still busy on Jogo Road, getting into the CBD, and we're looking at a little bit of traffic at that nook between the Pangani Underpass, Muthaiga Square, and all these other places. Happy things, because traffic hour comes to an end in not too long from now, so we're dealing with the last few bits of it. Are you stuck somewhere? Find a good route, let us know. SpiceFM KE on Twitter.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Welcome to the final hour of The Situation Room today. It's Tuesday. It's still Tuesday. It's the 14th. It's the day April is supposed to do the thing. Let's see.
Okay.
Wata maintain ile price ama wata reduce kidogo. Wakijaribu kuongeza watakipata. Well, we now have a conversation with Didmus Barasa, the MP for Kimberley constituency. He's here with us in the studio. Good morning, Shimua.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Karibu sana. That's the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Nashukuru.
Tumekuinvite mara kadhaa. Kuna time tulikuinvite lakini we were told that you've been called for an mkutano wa dharura.
Wa ghafla.
Ukakimbia pale.
Yes.
Wa ghafla. Haya. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Asante sana.
We want to talk about the politics of the country and, of course, what's happening. Now, we know that UDA, which party sponsored you to Parliament?
UDA.
Yeah, you go. UDA has a new Secretary General, Cleopa Malala, the former senator. And no sooner had he assumed office than he declared this is the direction that a spokesperson of the party and Secretary General of the party that we want to start pursuing, which is talking about these other parties coming together and forming one giant, mighty party. Cleopa Malala is a former senator for Kakamega County. Now, the leadership of from Western Kenya, some of them have come out, even those that are not in Kenya Kwanza, to say hapana, no, we can't go this direction, bwana. The people of Mulembe need to have their own fallback position, a voice that they will need to have. Well, that among others are what we want to discuss today. But first, to welcome you is this man called C.T. Muga, and he has the day's proverb, and is from a book.
The proverb is from a book, not C.T.
Well, the reason why this is important is because this book, it's a book that very many Kenyans have read. It's a book called Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. Now, why it's significant is, for me, is because it was first published in the English language on the 17th of June 1958. That is 3 months after I had been born. So, we are Nirika yangu. So the book and I share certain commonality. But significantly is what it is in terms of the proverbs that you find in the book. How, beyond just talking about the richness of African culture, which proverbs actually bring out, but essentially speaking truth to situations in a way that traverses time and space. So, this day's proverb: the sun will shine on those who stand before it, shine on those who kneel. Very good. Paying attention, good. The sun will shine on those who stand before it.
Punctuation is important.
Okay. The sun, will shine on those who stand before it.
Wow.
All right. The sun will shine on those who stand, before it shines on those who kneel under them.
Well,
good student. Yes.
This sun has been shining. Sheesh.
The sun, will, shine, before, those who stand, before,
it. Full stop. Or maybe I've stood too long in the sun.
Yeah, probably. So, Didmus, the proverb is: the sun will shine on those who stand before it shines on those who kneel before them. What do you understand from that proverb? It'll shine on those who stand before it shines on those who kneel before them. Or under them.
From where I sit, I can understand it to mean that in life, you don't just sit there. You have to engage in doing something. You can stand at the door for 3 hours, yet the door is written on push, that you just push, then it's open. So that is how I understand this proverb.
You've got to stand and take action.
Yes.
A good one. Yeah. A good one. So straight into that conversation. From where you stand as a member of parliament elected under a UDA ticket, and having seen the previous, attempts at consolidating parties. This is not the first time that we've had conversations about consolidating giant parties. Mwai Kibaki had talked about it and came up with PNU and said, you know what, I think these other parties, mine, DP and others, should come together and be PNU. Then we saw Jubilee. Now we are seeing the conversation about UDA and the others coming together to form a giant party. Where do you stand?
First, I want to make it clear that I share the same sentiments with the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua. In his address to the nation recently, he said those statements about Kenya Kwanza affiliate parties folding their parties is Cleophas Malala's own creation, his own personal statement. That is not the party position. We are coming from a very bad history. The history of Jubilee. You remember when affiliate parties were collapsed, and the one Raphael Tuju became the person that will make unilateral decisions, and that formed the genesis of the collapse of one giant Jubilee party. We don't want to walk that route. Kenya Kwanza is made up of quite a number of affiliate parties. These affiliate parties have got their party leaders. Even if we were to collapse them into one party, there are several questions that one would pose. There are several scenarios. Collapse all parties to UDA, or collapse all parties to Kenya Kwanza, or collapse all parties to ANC, or to Ford Kenya, or to Maendeleo Chap Chap. So those are the questions. So what we are saying, what drives us, what drives the coalition, is for the coalition to continue holding together and be more stronger than before. And if one of the conversations that are for the Kenya Kwanza coalition to be stronger, we must merge parties into one party. That must be a conversation that will be engineered by all affiliate parties, not a single individual. We must respect party organs, our individual party organs, and so the affiliate parties that forms Kenya Kwanza. So I am not saying that folding parties is not a bad idea, or rather maintaining the single identity is not a bad idea. Or I'm simply saying that if such conversation is to be entertained, then everybody must be put on the table to give out their views. And we have since asked our new Secretary General, this is his first time to be an SG of one of the biggest parties in this country, and we will ask him to go slow to avoid roadside declarations and announcements that brings friction amongst the member parties of Kenya Kwanza.
But then, this person was elevated to the position of Secretary General of the party just the other day. Soon after he was, declared or announced as the Secretary General, he starts making this conversation, even on the day of the new leadership of UDA being announced. It sounds to many of us that this is a conversation that took place during that meeting. Maybe it was not formally raised, but it was a suggestion that was put forth. And so what the Secretary General is doing is basically amplifying this as a proposal.
Where we have meetings, you can't rule out such proposals. Maybe there was such a proposal that maybe we fold parties. Maybe there was another one saying we maintain their identities. But the fact that he made those pronouncements immediately after being put in that position, it doesn't mean that it's a true position. When I was first elected to the National Assembly in 2017, there is this thing we call culture shock. You take time before you accept that, yes, I'm the new member of parliament in town. So we should forgive him about that thing. And the fact that he's a former senator for Kakamega, it doesn't therefore make that anything that he says we must take it to be in the true position. I say this because UDA is a party that respects structures. We have structures, and the Secretary General of UDA is a spokesperson of the party, not speaking about his own thoughts, but speaking the decision that has been arrived at by the party through the party positions, and we should learn to separate between Cleophas Malala, the immediate senator for Kakamega, and Cleophas Malala, the Secretary General of the giant party UDA.
Okay, so let's look aside from the Secretary General, if we can do that for a minute, and say, would it then be in the best interest, depending on what the party desire is, to actually fold up the affiliate parties and have one strong party? It seems as though that is where the leaning would be desired to be going. Would it have any benefits?
We have the party hierarchy. We have the party leader who's the president, and then we have the deputy party leader who's his deputy, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua. And what Rigathi Gachagua said was it yesterday?
The day before.
The day before. He was very categorical and candid that that was Malala's own statement, and that tells you that the party position is that we maintain the status quo as we are speaking today, until in future when such debate will be formally introduced. When I say formally introduced, it means that all affiliate parties will be given their agenda. They can do their own meetings and discuss and come up with their party resolutions on whether to fold or not. And then we have maybe a very big meeting where management committees or NEC of different affiliate parties within Kenya Kwanza converges at a particular place and come up with a common front. We are not going to do things the Jubilee way, where that for you to follow me, I have to put a gun on your head. We are going to persuade people through reason and logic, not through coercion. dictatorship. We are going to bring the same way we brought everybody on board when we were looking for votes. We will maintain everybody on board in terms of the decisions that we are going to make as a party, as a coalition, in terms of the ideas which we will think will take our coalition forward. We will not leave anybody behind, the same way we never left anybody behind during campaigns.
You know what is of interest, if I'm to follow your thought trajectory? Only you who belong to UDA or this coalition know what was really discussed and the details that were discussed in the meeting and in the side meetings and whatever it is that is planned. I say this because when dealing with political parties, yes, you mentioned culture shock, but political parties also have their ways of testing the waters. Let's see what people think about this subject. Malala, I'm simply hypothesizing. Cleophas, you've just come in. Why don't we test the waters with this and see how people react to this? Why don't you speak loudly and say, this is what we want to do? Now, whether it's testing waters or whether it's his own view, this particular trend is tested and tried. Political organizations, literally, all political organizations around the world tend to head in that direction. You can call it a coalition, but what is a coalition? A coming together. Where people are more persuasive, then it becomes one party. But again, it is spoken of as though if it becomes one party, it's a bad thing. But is it really a bad thing?
I'm a PhD student. I'm a public administration, and there is a theory in a unit called behavioral science, where an organization can use grapevine to test the popularity of the decision they want to implement or make. Where one employee will say, I've heard the management is planning to do A, B, C, D. Then depending on how the employees will react, then the management will either change, or they can even come out and deny, or maybe refine it and then implement it. So my good friend has read some theory somewhere, but what I've told you is the practical, is what actually is transpiring and what we are going to do, so that we avoid these situations of people using their own theories to begin to think on behalf of our coalition. Don't use your theory, your imaginations, your knowledge in terms of understanding the terrain of African politics to force it into us. The position is we have not had any discussion about our parties folding or not folding. We have not had any roadmap. And if we will want to fold our parties, we will provide a proper roadmap in terms of engagement, in terms of how we will arrive at the resolutions, in terms of how we will tap into each and every person's intelligence and understanding on what is good for our coalition moving forward. That thing, it is not our priority now. Our priority now is to refine the budget that will be implemented, will be unveiled by our government in the next few months. Our priority is to see how we are going to bring down the escalating cost of living, how we are going to ensure that the very basic things that the common mwananchi requires to survive are affordable. That is our priority. And of course, grappling with the huge debt that the previous regime left in office, that's our priority now. It is not about whether we follow our parties or not. That is a conversation that we are willing to entertain maybe 3 or 4 years.
It is appropriate time.
It's absolutely. You've put it very clearly.
You've quoted the Deputy President. During the campaigns, the Honorable MP for Madera, Rigathi Gachagua, was accused by several other leaders from Mount Kenya region of championing one giant party taking part in the elections from Mount Kenya. And any attempt by others to come up with other small parties like Moses Kuria's party and others was actually being fought. And they were pushing back and saying they do not want us to have other parties. They only want us to have to go into UDA. They want to force us to go into UDA. This is the same person who today is you're quoting and saying no. We are not interested in one big party. That is Malala's position. Really? What has changed?
I like the way you've said. Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, Member of Parliament for Madeira by then, is completely different from His Excellency Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Aisha Jumwa Kantana, the Member of Parliament for Kilifi, wherever, for Malindi at that time, is different from Honorable Aisha Jumwa, the CS. And that is very clearly, because when you are a member of the county assembly, the way you conduct yourself is different from when you are elected the Speaker of the county assembly. So we must separate those kind of things. And we should also separate statements issued by people during campaigns and the statements issued by people who are running the government.
No, we can't.
I say so because when somebody is nominated in government, either by a CS or a PS, they are taken to the Kenya School of Government so that you are taught on the etiquettes within the government corridors, how the government behaves, whether, the application of soft power to solve a number of problems. So these are things which we should appreciate. And I know, and I know, at that time when Rigathi Gachagua, the MP for Madeira, maybe he never knew he would be the deputy president. He could only speak on behalf of the people of Madeira or the people of Murang'a, Kenya. But now that he has become the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya, he has undergone a complete metamorphosis.
I don't know. Is that really what has happened? The Kenya School of Government teaches you the etiquette of government, how to behave, how to speak. Does it fiddle with the content of your character? Does it?
Absolutely. The content of a character of a person has got a lot to do with the education around yourself, either through direct learning or teaching or through association of the people around that particular time. That is completely...
So what we are saying essentially is that this individual who has been an individual for their whole life, suddenly in 3 months, because they go through whatever induction by KSG, they change who they were?
Absolutely. Why not? Today you are a presenter. If something happens and you become a doctor, for example.
I change what I do. I don't change who I am.
No, but what you do defines who you are. The people who are watching you or listening to you, they will write small descriptions about you, which could be the true position. Not because let me tell you, it's only your maker who knows who you are inside. For us, your friends who see you, we will know who you are by what you say, by what you associate yourself with.
Exactly. So you can only train me how to speak a certain way in a certain place, but you cannot change who I inherently am.
Absolutely.
And this is what we're saying about a member of parliament, whether they're a member of parliament today or a CS tomorrow. But you can change the conduct. You can mold the conduct of this individual, but you cannot change the spirit of who they are. If somebody is like this, this is how they are.
What we're saying, Mheshimiwa, is that...
Anyway, that is a material. What is more important is the subject line. We are deviating from whatever we were discussing.
No, but I think it matters inherently.
To discussing the character of an individual, which I don't think is the best thing to do. Yeah?
It is about the pronouncements of the leadership of political parties.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the pronouncements of a leader of a political party today, if it changes tomorrow, what do we judge? Do we judge what they say today, or do we judge what they say then?
I have just said that that conversation about
mergers,
whether to follow one party and join the other, is not on our priority list as we speak today.
Okay.
It's not the current thing that
it's not the current thing that we need to focus on. And to us, we are not thinking about how to win the general election, the next elections, but we are thinking about how to reconstruct our economy. Once we have reconstructed our economy and the Kenyans are happy, winning the re-election becomes an automatic thing.
Okay. Can we really reconstruct this economy, Mheshimiwa?
Yes.
If we talk about, for the first time in a very long time, a majority of members of the previous parliament were re-elected, right? They are in the 13th parliament. Now, that 12th parliament oversighted all those things that you're talking about. It oversighted the raising of the debt ceiling and the March borrowing. It oversighted the economic situation and condition that we find ourselves in. And we expect the same parliament, same members, to change that?
60% of our current parliament, they are new. They are not the old people, right? It is my first time since I was elected to be in the leadership of a committee. And all the very important committees, they are under the stewardship of virtually new people, right? The second thing is that reconstructing the economy is as simple as scaling down on these multi-billion projects. Once you scale down those multi-billion projects, then you only focus on a very important infrastructure that this country cannot live without, and then you will be able to save some huge chunk of money, pay the debts, and then you re-strategize. Your expenditures are going forward. It's just like you are told that the water flowing in a particular river are very slow. Is very small. So what you do is that you look for a way of blocking the river, the river. Then you create a huge dam. Then once you have created a huge dam, you find a way of surviving. Then by the time you open up, we will have enough water for everybody. So I believe, I am not an economist, but I have faith in the men and women that the president and his deputy have put together to be able to assist in resurrecting our economy, in building our economy afresh. And this has this may also include renegotiating our debts. Renegotiating our debts, and it's only a matter of time. We will unveil our first budget in the next few months, and that budget will explain what are the government's priorities, and again also we will have another bill that will indicate where the government will get this money, the source of funds, how we will restructure our tax regime, not to be punitive the way it is now, oppressive the way it is now, and move forward as a country.
Let's take a break on that note. It's 29 minutes to 10. The Honourable Didmus Barasa, the MP for Kimilili constituency, is our guest in the studio. We are talking about the state of the nation, the country. We've talked about political parties. He says, let's also discuss, that's very, very important, which is the focus of those in leadership now in righting this tilting ship of ours called Kenya. Okay, Mheshimiwa.
Yes.
You've heard of Emirates. In fact, wearing your headgear, someone may actually think, this guy works for Emirates. Emirates says, and it keeps reminding people that if you want to fly better, fly Emirates, particularly if you go into business or you go first class, because of the kind of service that they offer. Somebody was here last week and they said, what distinguishes Emirates from everybody else? It's a quality of service. It's how they treat you. It's how they give you service. It's their hospitality. Emirates is actually not a transport company. It's a hospitality company that moves you from here to there with a hospitality accompanying you. That's what they say. Fly better, fly Emirates.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Fly Emirates first and business class and look forward to a journey that's as incredible as your destination. Start your holiday with delicious fine dining, impeccable service, and comfort that's out of this world. Sip drinks in our A380 onboard lounge on flights from Dubai and beyond. Watch a movie and drift into a restful sleep in flatbed seats. Treat yourself to Emirates first and business class. Fly Emirates. Fly better.
Business News with Spice FM.
I'm Leah Ubaga. Bank customers who pay checks from rival lenders into their accounts will be able to get the money cleared within one working day in fresh efforts to boost cash flow in the economy. At the moment, the process can take up to 3 days, removing the discrimination that has for years seen banks clear internal checks within 24 hours. The reduced clearance period follows an upgrade of the automated clearinghouse system, the platform used by banks for electronic funds transfers and checks. EFTs will clear within the bank's hours of operations as opposed to the previous 24 hours, while foreign currency dominated checks will clear within 2 days from 7 days. With ERC set to announce new fuel prices today, local oil companies will now pay for oil imported on credit through a government-to-government deal in Kenya shillings. Energy and Petroleum Cabinet Secretary Davis Chirchir says the move will ease pressure on the local currency that continues to hit new record lows every week. Chirchir says the government has signed a deal with Saudi Aramco to supply Kenya with diesel and super for the next 6 months. Kuza Africa is looking for a training officer with a bachelor's degree or diploma in education, sociology, anthropology, communications or development studies with at least 3 to 2 years of training experience in social and behavioral change or community development work. Suitable candidates are required to send their CVs and cover letter by 27th March 2023. Visit jobs.digger.co.ke for more information on this and other jobs. Digger Jobs, your credible and trusted jobs partner.
Spice FM Business.
Partly sunny conditions in Nairobi at 19, highs of 28. We'll see highs of 28 as well in a sunny Nakuru. At 19, Nyeri is sunny, going to highs of 27. We'll see highs of 24 in a cloudy Eldoret at 17. 29 and partly sunny in Mombasa, and we'll see 28 and partly sunny conditions in Malindi. It's 21 and cloudy in Kisumu, and we'll see highs of 26, in Kakamega. Rain showers now back in Kampala, highs of 25. And we'll see highs of 32 in a mostly sunny Dar es Salaam at 28. Johannesburg is sunny at 14. Lagos is clear at 26. And it's mostly cloudy at 23 in Kinshasa. Out into Beijing, it's 20 and sunny. That'll be today's high going into evening Tuesday. Mostly cloudy at 9 in Paris and 5 and cloudy in London. New York is 3 degrees, rain and snow together. That'll be the high coming into Tuesday with lows of 1.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Right. You're coming off Jogoo Road, there's still a little bit of traffic as you're heading out towards Landis, but it shouldn't be too painful. Whatever was going on Gong Road is sorted out now and is also clear on Langata Road going into the city. Much better coming off of Limuru Road. The Thika Superhighway, free and clear. It's amazing. James Gishuru looking like it was at about 5 o'clock, and it was clear then. So you know what it is. Traffic hour is essentially over this morning. Hopefully we can keep it just so till, we have to contend with it again. Spice FM KE on Twitter. Through the morning, keep things moving.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
All right.
Mornings done right.
Mheshimiwa, there's a story on page 6 of the Standard today which talks about Article 223 of the Constitution, which has now been the conversation in the last 2 weeks. The Controller of Budget came to Parliament and said, you know what, in the last days to the general election last year, I had to authorize some payments which was cited under Article 223. And Article 223 is one that allows the national government, the National Treasury to spend some money that had not been appropriated into the budget for any reason and then come and seek authority of Parliament within 2 weeks and within 2 months. And if within that 2 months Parliament is not sitting, the next time you sit within 2 weeks, Parliament must discuss this. This is to make sure that government does not halt, but also at the same time to make sure that the Parliament, which is a budget-making organ, does not get left behind in the crucial role of making the budget. Now, several issues have emerged. It emerges that an analysis of past annual budgets and reports from the offices of the Controller of Budget, the Auditor General and Parliamentary Committee on Finance indicates that Article 223 has been used with more frequency in recent years to approve billions of questionable expenditures, including some that have ended up in court. For example, 2018-2019 financial year, the National Treasury authorized the Ministry of Education to overspend 1.5 billion shillings on land compensation, an amount which exceeded the allowable threshold of 20 million budgeted provision for the item by 1.47 billion shillings. It was in excess by that much. Yet Article 223 says even when you spend, you cannot spend more than 10% of what has been appropriated for that particular ministry. Okay? So here we are with all these that have taken place. That is 2018-2019. In 2020-2021 financial year, the Controller of Budget approved 46 billion shillings out of more than 200 billion in total requests made under Article 223. During the financial year, the State Department for Housing and Urban Development spent the highest amount in additional funding at 8 billion shillings extra funding from what had been appropriated by Parliament, followed by the National Treasury, which spent 8.2 billion shillings extra from what had been appropriated by Parliament. So it's clear that Article 223 has been misused over time. We are all talking about what was happening in the last regime of President Uhuru Kenyatta. In the administration of President William Ruto, the initial Hustler Fund allocation of about 12 billion shillings was actually spent through Article 223. It did not come to Parliament first. It was approved, and then now Parliament has had to come later and rubber stamp the spending. Is Article 223 serving this country?
First, I'm one leader in this country who shoots straight. I'm very candid in what I say, and I will tell you what is in my heart. What you are holding in your hand is a newspaper, it's not a constitution. A newspaper is written by somebody. The fact that an article appears on the newspaper, it doesn't guarantee that is the true position. That writer of that article is trying to sanitize what the previous regime withdrew from public coffers within 26 minutes, about 15 billion, right? At that time. That's why you want to put in some very English wordings to say that we have been using this Article 225 to do whatever we did here. I want to put it to you, the true position, that the withdrawal of 15 billion was actually a haste. They stole. That was thieving. When you talk about the 12 billion Hustler Fund, the Committee on Delegated Legislation took a lot of time to go through the regulations and approve the regulations. Regulations are usually approved by a committee. They don't have to come to the plenary. So the fact that Kenyans never saw Parliament plenary at that very initial stage doesn't mean that the Hustler Fund regulations were never approved by Parliament. Committees have the full authority of the House. They make decisions.
There are two things here. Nobody's questioning whether the regulations were passed by Parliament.
No, you are saying that the Parliament regularized.
No, regulations indeed were passed by Parliament. What do the regulations say? The regulations say that the source of Hustler Fund, there are 5 sources of Hustler Fund. Number 1, appropriation by Parliament. Right? Number 2, any proceeds that have come from the fund itself. Maybe interest, blah, 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 can come as source of the fund. 3, any donations from other quarters. Okay? That can come there. Others are if the Cabinet Secretary authorizes spending from his own budget to something like the Hustler Fund. Okay? Now, those are the sources of funding. That is the approved regulation. The regulations were passed by Parliament. Parliament did not appropriate 12 billion shillings to the Hustler Fund. The Hustler Fund received that money, as we've seen recently, through Article 223. It's not about sanitizing, because in fact the money that this article is raising, the fact that there have been other instances where money has been spent questionably, and the excuse has been Article 223. The 2018-2019 budget is talking about an extra 1.5 billion shillings spent by the Ministry of Education on land.
We have got two things which are facts. We have one, that Uhuru Kenyatta and Ukuru Yatan withdrew 15 billion from a national public coffer for whatever reason they wanted to do it. That's a fact. It happened. Within 26 minutes, it happened. And the Comptroller of Budget said she was forced to sign these things to approve the withdrawal of that amount of money. That's a fact. We have another fact that the Asula Fund exists. It's a fact. And the government put in about 12 billion. It's a fact. Now, political pundits who are allied to the previous regime, who are trying also to sanitize, the withdrawal of 15 billion within 26 minutes, they are now, paraphrasing their English to mean that even the current regime also, they withdrew 12 billion for Hustler Fund. You cannot compare the two by all standards.
Because of the 3 billion shilling difference? Or?
No. The 15 billion went to do what? When the government was...
you see...
let me tell you. Let me tell you.
You're a member of parliament,
yes.
Okay? We are not questioning the executive because you don't represent the executive unless your brief changed. You represent the legislature. The people of Kimilili sent you to parliament. They did not send you to the executive. As a member of parliament, the question that we are asking is a question that we expect you to be asking. Where did the 15 billion shillings go? You have said it was a heist. Now, that's what we expect to hear from parliament. Parliament does the investigation and tells us it was a heist. So, and the question that we started by asking, is Article 223 a loophole that could be used by any administration, whether you call it Uhuru Kenyatta, Didmus Barasa, whoever is in power?
It's not. First, just to answer your question, I am a member of parliament representing the people of Kimilili constituency, but I am responsible to the decision that the executive makes that comes from my action as a member of parliament. I must be responsible, right? The second thing is that when you are looking at whether Article 225 was misused or not, you have to look at the intention. We are talking about, we have had a general election. A winner has been declared. The loser has gone to the Supreme Court. The process is ongoing. The current regime by then, it was very obvious that they were exiting regardless of the outcome of the Supreme Court decision. What were they transacting the money, 15 billion for what? For what? When you look at it, you begin to see some criminality in it.
Can I come back just a little bit so that we can get some clarity here? When this 15 billion, because it's important, it's huge, when this 15 billion was being released from the country's bank account, and one would assume that for money to be released, that Parliament would say, okay. Are we saying that Parliament did not say okay? And are we saying that Parliament then was not aware that this money had been released? And are we also saying that Parliament did not ask questions if they knew and if they're aware of it coming out? They did not ask questions as per, hold on a minute, where is this money going and what is the purpose of it?
First thing is that I am not aware whether at that time, because most of parliamentary committees were controlled by them, by government, I'm not. I don't know whether they made somewhere to approve it or not. But the fact is that this money were withdrawn, were in cash. They were put in some lorries. Ideally we have a government policy that requires that withdrawal of amount of money that exceeds a particular amount, you do a wire transfer. This money was loaded in some lorries and taken somewhere. You can imagine. You can imagine.
You know, you've introduced a completely different topic here. Because if you have this information, is it information you came across when this year began, or is it information
after the Control of Budget spoke on it?
Or is it information that you knew even as a time when this particular action
heist? This matter happened under bush, secretly, under the table. No one was aware. Until, of course, the government is an animal. Whatever you do, the secret will come to be known because books can be accessed. Everybody has to explain where this money went to. So that's when the control of budget was summoned by Parliament to come and explain. That is what she said. And she began to produce documents, emails, letters from CS Treasury that released this amount of money. That is how we came to know about this. And from that time, a lot is happening. We have a lot of investigations that are going on. And I can confirm that I may not have the details, the whole facts, because I'm not among the people who are carrying out investigations. But from the face of it, this is actually a haste.
Which is why we are asking.
Where phone calls are made,
yes,
letters are written, in a span of 26 minutes, some lorry or a canter or wherever way arrives, money is touched inside, it leaves, so that you cannot trace where this money, if you do a wire, you can say this money left this account, this particular time, it went to this account, part of it went to here, So we are talking about a government must be accountable, that you do your things in an open manner, that each and every citizen will be able to see that this is the amount of money withdrawn, this is what the government has gone to pay with this amount of money, this is what the government intends to achieve by this amount of money. So you cannot compare. However genius you are, even if you went to study in one of the best English schools, and you want to bring the literature to try to compare the hustler fund and this money that was withdrawn in 26 seconds, you cannot. From the face of it, this was a haste.
Okay. Yeah. Where is the hustler fund?
The hustler fund, everybody understands that it's in circulation. The hustlers are doing business with it. Right?
Where is it ensconced? Where exactly is it? Where is it situated?
I can only...
For instance, Mheshimiwa, I have borrowed from the hustler fund several times, okay?
Yeah.
It still has stuck my limit to 500. But every time I borrow 500... 25% is withheld, and I'm told this is going to savings and all. As Member of Parliament, do you have oversight of where the savings are held, where the pension is held, and where the funds, who's the fund manager?
From where I sit, as a Member of Parliament, my only center of interest is the hardware. The software, you ask about the people who are administering this fund. You ask the CS, who will be able to tell you the software. Me, I have limited myself to understanding the hardware of the hustler fund, right? Who are the beneficiaries, what's going to do, what's the repayment period, what are the interest rates. But the software in terms of the account where the money is held, how it's transferred, that's a technical question that you reserve it for the CS in charge.
In the event a report comes to Parliament and it raises one or two issues about, the management of the hustler fund and this and the other, as members of Parliament, you'll take responsibility of this and say, okay, so let's follow up on where the loopholes are, seal those loopholes, look at the bigger picture. Is the hustler fund, has it by and large benefited the intended beneficiaries, the hustlers? If it has, this small bit that is not working, how can we make sure that it's working? True?
Yes, true.
Okay. With that same argument, Article 223 of the Constitution was inserted here so that if the government gets to a point where it wants to spend money and Parliament is not in session, they can spend money and then come to Parliament and say, guys, we spent money, here is where we spent it. There's a wire transfer. You can see money left treasury. It went to Ndu. Spend it.
And if you're looking for it, it's found over there.
You can find it. But then, here you have now realized that this Article 223 has been and can be misused. So the question to you as MPs is, so what are you doing about it to seal this loophole so that nobody else sitting in the National Treasury and the Office of Control of Budget can actually not coerce one another, but even at some point collude to release money from the national coffers?
You know, it is very important that Parliament of Kenya, both the National Assembly and the Senate, we must actually set up a committee that, or rather all departmental committees must have an extra role of actually monitoring and evaluating the implementation of the laws that guide operations within the state departments that are oversighted by them, with a view of improving them, with a view of ensuring that we have a prudent management of resources and improve accountability. I agree with you that every article of the Constitution can be misused by anybody. So there is need to ensure that these articles that executive uses to withdraw money without the approval of Parliament are looked into. We must also look at that particular article that the previous regime was misusing. As we speak today, a sitting president can actually be a legislating president. What he needs to do is to draft a bill, bring the bill in Parliament, and if the bill flops, if the bill is maybe approved by Parliament, he can actually not sign it into law, but bring it with further amendments. When he brings it through a memo, is that this is how it's supposed to be, and is now upon Parliament to raise 2/3 to defeat the president's reservations, which is very difficult. So meaning if you don't do it, the law stands passed. So these are some of the things that we need to look into. And I was not just opposed to the previous BBI proponents by the sake of it, but I said, in future, if we are to change our constitution, we need to have some kind of a seminar and carry out an audit of our current constitution from chapter 1 to the last chapter, so that we actually are amending our constitution by improving our systems of governance, improving our accountability process, improving our service delivery, so that we amend the whole constitution in totality in terms of from chapter 1 to the very last chapter.
Do you think Parliament can improve in its role in oversighting some of these things that we see? Just in direct link to that question, where we see over time that there have been loopholes. I mean, there's information that people seem to have. So the question is, why not use that information to ask questions within that essentially safeguards the very spirit of what Parliament is ought to do? Do you think Parliament can do a better job?
To be candid and fair, the democracy of African countries has not matured to a level similar to what we see in Europe. Yeah, and this has got a lot to do with how the fabric that maketh a political system, where you have the head of state as the party leader. Today, I am sure that the members of the backbenches, who are actually the members of the minority coalition, when an idea comes, majority of them will support because their party leader has said, this is our party position. We may have a few who will look at it from an independent point of view, but majority of them will look at it differently.
Can it be better?
Even in the ruling coalition as well. We've had situations where people say, this is the government position, this is the party position. You see the SGs of parties saying we are going to discipline those who will go against the party's position. And the question is, does the party position similar to the Wanjiku position? So these are some of the intrigues that actually affect the independence of
So are you saying then Parliament cannot then properly do its job because there is a chokehold that is on Parliament by the executive? It doesn't matter the administration.
At least in the 13th Parliament, we've not had an issue for determination that will make us, draw a conclusion that Parliament had been infringed by external forces or not. And from what I've seen the head of state behave currently, and even from what I've seen also the members of the minority party behave, I can say I can see light at the end of the tunnel, that this 13th Parliament is a bit different from the previous ones. The previous ones, where I served in, the 12th Parliament, there were a lot of, succession politics. There were a lot of, high electric politics, where anything that was introduced on the floor of the House, the NASA principals by then will look at it in the political eye. They will do their meeting and say, our party position that we don't support. They will politicize whatever thing that was coming out. But I have faith in the 13th Parliament because one, the head of state doesn't meddle in the affairs of the National Assembly as we speak today. I've also seen members, quite a number of members of the ODM or the NASA coalition defy the direction given by NASA principal Raila Odinga. So I can even say that and of course 60% of members of Parliament are fairly new, and this is not a succession term by where the head of state is exiting his seat, is eligible for re-election. So everybody is really working very hard to be noticed and secure a second term, including the president. So we have got elements of really listening to what Mwananchi is saying, and not just being a populist, but rather following what is good for this country.
Run out of time. Mheshimiwa Didmus Barasa, thank you very much for joining us today. Come again soon.
Thank you very much and good to see you.
Thank you for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation. It's 7 o'clock. See you tomorrow.
Says those insinuating that their calls to do so are misled.
So that we avoid these situations of people using their own theories to begin to think on behalf of our coalition. Don't use your theory, your imaginations, your knowledge in terms of understanding the terrain of African politics to force it into us. The position is we have not had any discussion about our parties folding or not folding.